like Breckenridge and shit like that.
That's what I was going to ask. Like Summit County, all the resorts and all that.
Yeah.
Is this south of?
Oh yeah, this is like it's on the border of New Mexico and it's on the eastern slope. So, you know, by the time those mountains hit Utah, it's still a high elevation, but it's nothing like.
It's going to be a little chilly.
Yeah.
First day, but hopefully nothing unmanageable.
Yeah.
We're going.
We're going right now.
Yeah.
All right. Fuck. I'm nervous now.
Are you?
Well, boys, here we are. Justin brought us all to the table to tell us that he's coming out of the closet. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Finally.
We've all had our suspicions, but yeah.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be the beard dye thing. We thought we were going to finally know what he does for a living.
The truth.
Yeah. So, but no, thanks for coming out, guys. We've been busy. I think we've all been busy. So
Yeah. It's
yeah.
a good reason to come out, though.
Yeah,
this
man,
is,
I'm
this
excited,
is exciting
man.
stuff. I think so.
So how this is the
How do
hardest.
we hit it off?
How do we hit it off? Like how do we? Because it's like you almost put it like we're putting the pussy on a pedestal, right?
So we got to knock it down real quick.
We gotta knock it down.
The podcast just started. We're a minute in. You're not just gonna like.
So the way you want to get around to it to start massaging your way into this situation is simple. Well, no, I guess what we were talking about earlier. Born Free came to Texas. They did a very good job as far as finding a way to use the land that Oliver and these guys have out there at Mount Enterprise, the Yellow Rose Canyon. Yep. They came in, they brought structure to this place and gave it for the first year show it went well as it could go.
Sure.
I mean, there was issues getting in, and that's something to do with the liquor thing out here in Texas. But for the most part, it went off really well. There's a lot of things changing. One of the main things changing is it's not going to be a Saturday, Sunday show anymore. It's going to be a Thursday through Sunday show. Usually Sunday is when people start packing up to go home.
Right.
So almost rally kind of dates. But fortunately, it lends them the opportunity with being in Texas, with all the what do you call it, the restrictions and that type of shit, to open it up to more opportunities. And honestly, I mean, for vendors and people that are coming out there, having Thursday, Friday, Saturday to sell and do things is going to be a great thing.
Yeah.
Right? So what has happened is when we started talking with Mike from Born Free, we did the podcast. He gave us the go-ahead to set up a pre-party for Born Free, which we did at Stroger's Dallas. Right. It went off amazingly. We had tons and tons of people there. And then I don't know how much of that bled over into Born Free. I would say that everything that happened at Born Free was all on them. We just did our part with creating some kind of event here. And, of course, Hang 'em High Customs helped out and the DFW Donna crew. Well, in doing so, he gave us the go-ahead to create any kind of event that we wanted to at Born Free Texas for this year, which is 23, which leads us the next weekend after Born Free Texas. Me and Justin was at the Down South Campout, where in between running from getting shot.
Yeah, Florida. Yeah. So we did have a small little thing, build that kind of fell through between you and I, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of gave me the idea of we should definitely keep that going and do our own thing.
Yeah.
And I had FXR frame, so I was wanting to build FXR anyways with my son, but we're going to build his next year. So we are going to all get together and first it was just Jason and I was just basically talking shit to Jason saying, hey, let's have a build off between you and I.
And then you realize that
then I needed competition, so I was like, we should have brought more people in.
There you go. He's getting it.
So that's where we came up the idea of like we should definitely and I don't want to say build off like it's a competition because it's not a competition.
Yeah.
So we are, and we'll go down the list of the people and stuff like that who are all involved as well. But we all are getting together and building all FXRs and kind of tagging along, could you say, with Born Free?
We're ending at Born Free. So Born Free is our end goal. But what we want to kind of back it up.
Right.
What you were talking about, or what we were kind of discussing originally, was we're products of a generation that we were maybe a little too young to have experienced on our level of expertise and finances, with like the build-off stuff that took place in the early 2000s, and that whole culture and how it was wrapped around custom motorcycle building, which Cory, I guess that's also when you came into the mix as well.
For sure, yeah.
Building bikes. And the nostalgia of it is it definitely, it still holds up today. Like
I still go back and watch them.
when you watch Biker Build Off or Motorcycle Mania,
Yeah.
It holds.
it just
today.
holds up,
Yeah.
and it's almost like it gets better with age because I feel like we get so far removed from that simplicity of it that it becomes like something where we want to experience again, right? And the concept of doing the build off that's just a very commonly used term to kind of give people an idea of what we're trying to do. But like you said, it's not a competition amongst builders. It's
all fun.
It's all fun,
Yeah.
right? So far, it's been a great chat.
Yes.
Yes.
Pretty good.
A few of us have got started. I have not. I've got some parts. I think Cory is probably the most furthest
No,
ahead.
TBJ is definitely the most, but he might be on the list. I don't know.
Who's TBJ?
Nobody
Yeah.
knows.
Yeah.
Anyway, but no, yeah, go ahead. My bad.
No. So yeah, I obviously had already started building another bike. So yeah, this was even before we knew that this build off thing was going to happen. And for those who are listening, yes, this is an official build off. And I'll let you get more into the details, but it's a few of us who are going to be building bikes, FXRs, of course, the bikes that we all know and love so much that truly have a burning passion for these machines. But in my case, I had already started building another one a couple of months ago, and so it just kind of fell into place whenever you guys approached me about, hey, do you want to be a part of this new build off?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Already hit the ground running. So.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you might have a lead, but once again, I mean, TBJ has had it for 2 years building a bike, and he's close. He's the one on the list that I'm worried about the most.
That's the reason he didn't send no pictures in.
That's probably why, because it's like
He's riding it around.
it's done. he's got a couple more things to machine, but
he's trying to figure out his seat right now.
just can't figure it out, But like I said, we fell in love with that concept. When you would watch these two builders go at it, and then they later in the show they'd have this like meeting point, and they'd ride to the event, right?
Right.
And I've talked to quite a few of those guys that were actually on those shows, whether it was the early versions of Biker Build Off or the later versions, and they pretty much all said, yeah, we built the bikes and we rode them there. There was a couple of things that might have took place that wasn't reality as far as like creating false drama for TV, but for the most part, like it was all real. Like they met up, they rode. Billy Lane's bike did catch on fire that time there and shit like that. So these things happened, and obviously, I love riding and traveling on motorcycles probably more than any other thing motorcycle related, like painting, customizing, all that shit. I love riding bikes. So this is a good way to, I feel like, have we even talked about that part of it yet? I don't even know if we.
No, why don't we
riding
take a
side
step
of it?
back
Yeah,
and kind
it's
of give people the big, the
So excited.
high level concept of what's going on here. Instead of, we're kind of dropping hints a little bit, but
That's why we
give
brought
them the 30,000.
professor over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sticking up for my man Brian, I believe he just texted you that you should be the most worried. Or something to that effect, but I believe he's messaging you back as we speak.
Yeah. He's flipping me off on live. With his finished FXR in front of him.
Is it running?
He's close though.
Oh, his motor's in the frame. That's more
good.
than I got.
If you call that a build, I mean, I don't know if I would. But anyway, go ahead.
High level concept. What are we doing? Explain to people what's going on.
A quick rundown. So there's 9 builders. Jason and I got together and kind of picked some people that didn't really have the opportunity in the past or now to do this. So we got 9 builders. We'll get the details on the 10th person later, but we're going to do a submit the build for your normal average Joe type garage builder dude. We'll get details on that later. But so we have 9 builders, and then we all are going to meet in Durango, Colorado. And this is the Monday prior to
Born Free
Texas. And then so that is actually we're going to be meeting at probably Durango Harley. The Trevor Bird, and we'll get to some sponsorship later, but Trevor Bird and Tommy also had a big part of this as well. But we're going to ride from Durango Harley to Amarillo. Amarillo to Dallas to Strokers at pre-party.
Yeah, Strokers will be the official pre-party for Born Free Texas, which will have a whole like setup basically up front or in the like area at Strokers. With the only thing he didn't have last time was the lights because they're not used to doing things at night there. So the lights were out. So we'll have that fixed so that these bikes can be illuminated at night while we're there. So.
And then obviously from there to Born Free, and we will have an area and everything kind of sectioned off
in the bowl area for this. So it's not a competition at the show. Like we're not.
It's not a competition at all.
At all. So
I think you won by like being in the group, and we're all riding together, and you won by making it there pretty much.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a 50-50 shot for mine.
Yeah. So the way that we set this up, I think out of happenstance, to be honest with you, is that we put this group chat together based on like the people that you and I had kind of went over thinking about who we could bring on board that would be able to commit to it. So that there's a ton of people out there that are capable of building FXRs and would 100% be down to do it, right? But we're trying to think of how can we spread how we spread this butter out.
And also long game. We could also invite everybody this first year. No, we want to keep this going year after year and then have new people, more people and all that and build it up from there. So this is just sort of the first run, you know?
Exactly. I mean, and we're learning a lot of shit already in the first like 3.5 weeks that we've been kind of assembling this situation. But the concept is, yes, to try to, we talked about, let's get a couple guys that we feel like are doing some badass things that aren't necessarily getting the most shine from, I guess, the powers that be, whoever that is, however you want to look at that, and bring them in to build a cool-ass FXR of some sort for their brand and who they are, come to this table, get some exposure for the entire year building that bike. But in this group chat, you have all these guys who are talking shit, but also all capable of helping each other out.
Right.
Since this is not a competition of who built a better bike, it's a competition of hopefully helping everybody make it to Durango. And the only way you win said trophy or prize or thing that we got some ideas on that is by completing the 1,000-mile ride to Born Free.
Because it is 1,006 miles from Durango to Born Free, Texas.
Yes. And we're going to have 2 stops in between. So, yes, it's not that bad. It ain't like an iron butt or anything like that. But you're talking about custom-built bikes, some of which on the list are full choppers. Some of them, especially this table, are very, very don't have to worry about much as long as, as long as
finish it.
As long as you finish it kind of things. But the goal is like to hopefully try to get everybody to make it there. So you have this camaraderie that's built around all these builders and different creators in that spectrum. Like some people are more machinists, some people are more fabricators, and some people, that are on this list they have a different role entirely. Know, I'm a painter and a podcaster, and I'm on the list because I fucking helped put on the show. So that's how I got my spot. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, the whole concept is like now you have this deal where we're all invested in each other to want to see each other make it. Right. So if someone has a problem on their ride on this 1,000-mile ride, we want to stop and try to solve the problem instead of like, fuck that dude. That's one less guy I got to worry about being in the fucking finish line with me. You know what I mean?
We're already starting on such a good foot because every one of these fellas that is in this this build off, I feel like this is good people. This already feels like family, and that like to compare it to the old biker build off days.
Yeah.
Like think of like some of the first episodes. You had like a Billy Lane versus Roger Bourget.
Yeah.
Completely different ends of the motorcycle spectrum. And there was a lot of trash talking and stuff going on during the build, but by the time that they got together and did that ride together, they realized, hey man, we have so much in common. Well, so we're already starting off on such a good foot. We all already know each other. I mean, quite honestly, some of the guys that are on this list here, I've only met in person like in the past year or so.
Yeah, at the FXR show or something like that.
Yeah, FXR show in Sturgis or at Born Free or whatever. But it already feels like there's such camaraderie and community already happening. Of course, everybody's going to give each other a hard time on the chat and whatnot. But of course, we want every single person to be there. If you're going through a particular challenge or a struggle in building your bike, you got family you can lean on. And
Yeah.
that's what we're going to be here to, support one another. And I think on the once we get to the other side of this, we're going to be even tighter than before.
Yeah.
Especially for something that's so special as an inaugural event. This
Yeah.
is the first one, so that carries some kind of gravity with it.
Yeah.
You can only do something first one time. And
Yeah.
This is it. So
That's a good point, man. I mean, it's it's one of the things that me and Justin I actually brought up is like, me and you are doing this because we actually have FXRs we want to build. I've been talking about doing this, my version of it for so long. It's kind of like what it turned into is a lot of the other guys on the list. It became like, well, fuck, now I got to do that bike I've been thinking about doing, right?
yeah.
Same thing for me. And then when he brought it up to me, it was kind of like one of those situations where I'm like, fuck. But
If not
after
now,
we do it this year, like I don't know that I'm gonna build another one next year, but we still got to continue to carry this whole thing.
And that would make it actually better for next year, so we have more time for all the behind the scenes crap, which I didn't realize how much goes into it.
Yeah.
So we can better that. I can't afford or time and money to build one every year.
Exactly. So we're hoping this all goes off well, and with the people that are on the list, that, like I said, we'll get into it in a little bit. We're hoping that it can carry enough weight and get enough hype to almost like take the building and the powers that be. I've already said that word, so I'm sorry. Just this world that sometimes I feel like is a little bit above like where we get to hang out.
it's an
and
elite.
we're just kind of bringing it to where we are, if you will.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're creating something that we feel like we want to have, but nobody else has put to the table. And if they did, they probably wouldn't invite us to it.
Right.
Does that make sense?
That's the beautiful part, is that you realize none of this stuff is going to happen on its own. It takes initiative. I'm so thankful that you guys have already taken the initiative to do this and get it going, and not just some idea like, man, it would be cool if we did this or we did that.
Yeah.
It's happening, okay? Anybody can talk about, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But not everybody can make things come to fruition, and that's what's happening.
And I didn't just want just a show, like, because we have a lot of shows, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I wanted to ride, like the hot bike tour, the hot rod tour, all those tours.
Yeah.
So this, we did name it, so it's the FXR tour. So you build your bike, you show up, you ride it to the show.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what?
No, I was waiting on him to. I hate that word.
Well, I did have some complaints about tour. Tour to me implies certain
It's
things.
almost dialed in, but I just couldn't really figure it
couldn't
out.
dial it in, any further. But listen, something occurred to me earlier that, like, I think the most obvious name that y'all should have named this, that just didn't occur to any of us, it's like it's just glaringly obvious.
Build off.
No, just humor me for a minute. Just close your eyes. Okay. Imagine the billboard. Okay.
Okay, I'm seeing it. I'm 75.
No, it's a big marquee. Keep your eyes closed. It says Born Free Texas FXR. That's it.
Is that the fucking Key and Peele thing?
No, that thing that you haven't seen all this stuff that's been going on Instagram.
Yes.
Oh shit!
It's the FXR.
Spell that.
That's the Key and Peele skit though. That's from that,
We don't know.
right?
Is it? I don't even know.
Where the dude, the rapper's like,
I don't know.
Then I was like,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
yeah, that's the Key and Peele skit.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
I love it. Anyway, you should have named it that, but you screwed up. So I guess we're doing tour. We're doing tour.
Eyes closed for that.
Well,
Honestly,
it's-
the
it's
hardest
great.
part
We're
about that was
touring.
trying to find a name, and yeah.
Well, put it like this: a name is one of these things, right? It's always strange, right? If you don't put enough emphasis in the name when you start and things work, then you're stuck with this name that you were never in love with, but now it has like
It's got
roots,
legs. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And you can't change it.
And you're like, well, shit, man, I
No.
really wanted to call this thing
Yeah.
FXR or something.
Justin, how much would you say your enthusiasm or excitement to jump on board with this was based off your trip to Born Free on your build, your total custom build?
A lot.
Just this summer.
A lot. Because there's nothing better than actually building something and then riding it to a show. The trophies and all that, really, I don't care for. But to enter it and then, like, to get the respect from other people that I looked up to for so long was huge. Huge to me. Yeah.
And then riding it back. Going through Coachella as sun comes up. I mean, that's
the best.
That's, I don't want to say once in a lifetime because you can duplicate it, but it's when it just happens, when you don't plan it, you're not, we're setting our trip up to do this, but all of a sudden you're going through Coachella at the sunrise during the sunrise. And
I think the whole part of this build off part, the show's gonna be fun, but that ride when there's 10 custom bikes, FXRs, and they're all totally different, riding down the highway, I think that's going to be the best part.
It's going to be sick. I can't wait for the performance baggers and the Softail Dyna guys.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of
that are cruising behind y'all like the little fish that hang out on the underbelly of a shark as it kind of hangs out. The
you're going to make them not want to come ride with
with all the oil and stuff on their faces.
Right. Bolts and nuts hitting the.
You can follow. Paint. You just got to stay a few cars back.
They're gonna end up going. Hey, we'll meet you at the next spot to the second fucking stop of like trying to figure out what's wrong with these bikes. But no, that is the other thing that we want to talk about is that we are planning on hosting a party every night of every stop. So Durango Harley, there will be a party there. Hopefully, it's not going to be one of those parties that ends at like 9 p.m. like a lot of dealership shows. So we're going to work out those details. It's going to be an event. So if you're looking for a way to maybe come to Born Free and you're coming Texas and you're coming from Colorado or anywhere else, or you want to just be a part of this to experience it with us, we're setting this up.
This is not exclusive.
It's not. Like we want everybody to be on this deal with us and experience this ride and fun. And there's parts of this ride that's not very scenic, depending on where you're from in this country.
So as soon as you get to Texas,
yeah, there's a part of 287 when you're going through these small towns that I actually dig. Like it's all a perspective thing, right? It could be like totally just it's flat to some people, but then again, it's 10 times better than riding through like Louisiana or something like that. No, not a dig, or Florida.
Little Rock to here.
Yeah,
just trees.
There's just stuff. I mean, you at least have like big sky and visibility, so you're not like trapped in trees or anything like that. So and like I said, we're gonna try to make it fun. I mean, we're talking about a lot of cool bikes, so I'm sure we're gonna stop at a cool spot and take pictures. We're gonna stop here, and you know what I mean. It's not gonna be like
it's only what 300 or 400 mile days.
Yeah,
so that's not bad. You can enjoy it, not rush.
Yeah, we'll probably do. I kind of, when we leave Durango, if we could stop at the Wild Hogs bar where the Del Fuegos are.
Boy, you don't want none of those Del Fuegos. Watch out now.
We can figure out the route, but I mean, like I said, we have a lot of options, whether it's through Taos, through Raton, straight through Santa Fe down to 40 or however. I mean, we'll figure all that out based on weather and conditions at the times. But
what is that date on that Monday?
We haven't got the exact dates from Mike yet.
Okay.
I mean, I could probably text them and maybe we'll get it by the end of the deal.
But we will post that up once it is for sure.
Yeah.
And then so like if other people, because obviously we want to have a big turnout at Durango Harley Davidson to start it off and then kind of hit all of them on the way back. So yeah, I know it's going to be that Monday no matter what. We just don't know whatever Born Free Texas date is.
Yeah. So see if he messaged me back on that, but we'll see what happens. But so that's the concept. And, kind of getting back to it, like all the builders, once again, like I said, all the builders that we kind of started thinking about, because we brainstormed on this for a minute. Like we wanted a couple guys to validate us, right?
Absolutely.
So we reached out to like Justin and Big Chris at FXR Division. Yep. I mean, their brand is called FXR Division, so I don't know how much more validation you can get from a brand called FXR Division.
Right.
So, so we wanted to get them on board, and some of these other brands, like they have a Born Free build coming up. They got tons and tons of builds, so
they have a lot going.
We wanted to make sure that everybody that's coming on board can build something for this event and not just be like a thrown together thing. We wanted some kind of a commitment, if that makes sense. So.
Well, I think for many people, they need that initiative. You need something, some kind of reason
challenge.
To have a build. Yeah, the challenge. And, if you let them know enough in advance, right? We're talking about mid-October. We're mid-January now.
Yeah.
That's reasonable at this point. That should be doable for most people. But like we were talking about earlier,
I hope.
You calm down. But darn well that the the days are just going to go flying by, and before you know it, it's going to be June.
I mean, I was
you're
planning on
September.
starting in August, to be honest with you.
Oh my
Oh,
Lord.
true. I just need
I'm
July.
going to be on my bagger on this trip. I'll be the first one that doesn't get the trophy.
No, no. This is the good kick in the pants for someone who's like, man, I've been thinking about building fill in the blank bike, forever, and now we finally got a reason.
Like I said, I'm hoping that amongst the 9 and hopefully 10 of us that are a part of this whole deal, plus the brands we already have involved, like Cowboy Harley and Durango Harley that are supporting this deal, we can continue to generate enough hype, and we can hopefully get more FXRs or just people in general to come with us, because I think that Justin and I's vision of this is always going to have a little bit of the big guys and a lot of the small guys that are getting their feet wet and trying to get their name out there and try to become builders or try to get their builds exposed. And it's like they told me a long time ago, it's like you can sit online and post your stories and post your shit, but if you don't show up to places, you're never going to get an opportunity. So I can't wait for the second wave of this to happen after we figured out all this shit, to be able to make a phone call to some dude that I know would be an awesome guy, or you know what I mean? To, hey man, we want to invite you to be a builder on this, and have it grow its legs and become something, you know, more tangible, and as the sponsors also grow, to become more lucrative for the people involved.
Well, what's going to be the byproduct of all this is you're strengthening the community even further.
Yeah.
FXR community is already incredible, like by any.
They're probably already on a page right now talking shit about how we didn't. You didn't invite Elvis. He's the fucking king. He's the king.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's going to strengthen the community. Maybe get people who weren't even familiar with this style of bike, or they knew what it was. Knew what an FXR was. Maybe it's going to light a fire in them to think, man, I want to build one of those bikes too. You know, that you can't go buy an FXR at a dealership. You can't go get financing on an FXR anymore. This is something that.
But you can buy a frame for $800 like I did.
Yeah.
And you can figure out the rest, or you can buy a roller that needs a little bit of mechanic work for $3,500 or $2,000 or
Right.
some shit, right?
Yeah, I mean,
You
you
bought
get
an
those-
FXR. The one you're building is for your son, right? That you got from me.
Yeah.
Okay, so but you already
The other one, the last one I built, it was a FXR 3, and it was a running bike for $3,500.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
Not a
I
bad
mean,
deal.
there's deals out there.
I feel like you were bragging on that one a little bit.
Little
like,
bit.
I'm just saying they're out there. You just can't look on Instagram because they're not out there.
No.
Yeah.
No.
like Mike said, if it's easy for you to find, then you got to pay a convenience fee.
That's a fact.
So,
That's true.
Yeah.
The XR Mike's got wisdom, even though
He
he's
does.
a car guy now.
Well, as far as this whole thing, what a feather in the cap for Born Free itself as an event to in its second year to have this kind of traction, have something behind it to where it makes
they're
it
welcome.
so much more of a destination thing, and just the kind of movement. I mean, people are going to love this. They're already loving it. And then on the flip side of that, it's almost like a two-pronged thing. Think of the opportunity you have as a builder. As like you said, if you're some guy that just wants to get into this, you're not trying to claw your way into Born Free California. You've got as even of a open tryouts, whatever you want to say. If you're some guy that just figures this out and just wants to go with it, or you're some guy that just wants to double down and you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good point.
It seems like it's kind of the best of both worlds for this event that's going on. Has such a killer fucking debut, and we've talked about numerous times. It's only going to get better.
Yeah.
Why waste time? Get in now
That's right.
while you're still somewhat on the ground level floor.
Yeah, well, on that same note, like Justin and I both talked originally, I think we were considering doing it for the FXR show in Sturgis.
Yep.
And which I love Big Joe, and I love that show. I think it's hands down one of the must-go-to shows of the year as far as the FXRs are concerned. But we started considering the space in which is
There is
available and how they do it. And I really wanted to I think that, as someone that plans to actually put on some real shows like Dialed In at some point in time, I want an art-based show. Like I plan on doing that within the next couple of years, is create a real show to highlight everything. But being able to see these bikes from all angles in a very, very clean way, we need space. You need to have 10 bikes. You need a good amount of space.
Right.
And so Born Free Texas has space to lend. So it just made sense to kind of reach out to Mike and pitch the idea he leaned into it, and it gives us space in the bowl where people are already going to be looking at custom motorcycles all day long. We'll be able to have ours on display too.
Right.
And then you're still going to have the FXR Dyna Show put on by San Diego Customs and Speed
Yeah, we're not
Things.
taking anything from them.
Yeah,
at all.
we'll probably end up putting our bikes in those shows for that
Right.
aspect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I'm sure it'll be merged all together. And to go about Joe's show, it's so great there is no room. Right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
whole bowl is filled up, which is awesome. So
and that's part of the Triple Crown, right? To be able to hit
Yep.
the East
West
Coast,
Coast.
East Coast, West Coast, and the FXR show. So, man, I've said this for years, and I'm thinking about Cruzy right now when I'm saying this, but he's one of the guys I kind of wanted to ask to do this thing because he hates FXRs.
That's funny.
You know, but FXRs, in my opinion, are kind of like the prerequisite for any builder. Like if you can't turn an FXR into something cool, when this bike is the most modular bike there is, it can go any direction. It could be a full-on touring bike like Cory's built this last year. It could be something like what one of our guys in the group is building. That's a full-on land speed record bike as he's trying to do. So there's just so many avenues you can take FXRs that. You know, if you have a bagger, you can't really go 100 different directions. You only really got one direction with a bagger.
You got to stay in your
right?
lane.
That's a good point.
You know?
Yeah.
FXR, you have a frame and then do whatever. You can
Yeah.
chopper, you can pro street.
It's like if you take the chopper community or the
Yes.
chopper world and you add a little bit more modern to it, and you give yourself a little bit of new, a little bit old. It's like the perfect resto mod, is what it is.
Right.
There are just a few degrees of separation between the chopper community and the chopper motorcycle itself and our FXR motorcycles and community as well. I mean, it's a transitional kind of motorcycle for guys who are just eat, sleep, and breathe choppers like I did for so many years. This is a perfect segue, perfect transition.
Nice, yeah. And now you see a lot of the chopper community coming into FXRs or even early model Dynas just to kind of get on something that they can rip and run and do what they want to do on.
One thing I was going to say though, talking about creating this whole event, this whole concept, and trying to feature people who may not have the opportunities to be an invited builder for some kind of event. What other opportunities are there for invited builders in this type of space? In other words, Born Free obviously is the vintage chopper invited builder.
Right.
Is there anything else that y'all know of for
I don't
the
know of any-
FXR community?
No.
not invited. There's always destinations like shows and stuff like that.
Yeah, so there's always that. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't know that you talking
like
about that.
like hand built too. It's invited. You know,
Yeah.
you have to submit and get it, but it's across the board, right?
Yeah.
But there's no
Nothing
niche.
specific for our segment.
No.
So you are truly creating something from scratch here and going to give opportunities for people who had no previous way to shine,
Right.
other than posting on social media or something.
So
like that.
to add on to what you just asked and what you just said, it's like when you look at events like a Mama Tried event, which what I'm about to say has no, I'm not trying to this is no shade at any of these events because I like them, but not a lot of people are building a bike for Mama Tried. It's just that they built a bike and Mama tried, hey, do you want to feature this bike
That's
at
a
our
different
show?
concept.
It's a
Right.
different
Yeah.
concept, right?
It's like guaranteed.
Yeah.
They have it ready for it.
It's part of the circuit.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
build a bike and you make the rounds. You do
Exactly.
Yeah.
the circuit.
So the concept behind building a bike for something, I think, other than Born Free and those one guys that take the FXR show at Sturgis extremely seriously, it's off the table. I mean, I will say that like the hardcore cycle shows with the skinny tire build off has that aspect, the skinny tire part. But the other part is kind of like, you just got a natural group of people that are trying to get their bikes done for Daytona to go to the hardcore cycle
But nothing
show.
official like this. This is
They-
actually putting it.
Yeah.
They do have the
writing.
Friends build off, like Fro
The
or
FXR guys?
Yeah.
Paul Yaffe.
and,
It's all the
sure.
not being any like disrespectful. All it's the big dudes, right? It's the guys, the hamsters and all. I think they're all hamsters.
They're all
yeah.
hamsters.
Yeah.
So there's it's their group, you know.
Right.
And there was some badass bikes. I mean, Hoffman's bike was one of my favorite. Jeremy had painted that one. That turquoise paint job with like the.
they're doing choppers
A lot
this
of
year.
chrome.
They do. They are.
Yeah.
Well, that's dope, and that's what I'm saying. Like, that's a good concept, but
It's
if you do it within your community, like, put it like this, I'm probably gonna fucking ostracize myself right now, but a group like the Hamsters needs to start being more of like an ambassador for the rest of the community. How can they create something for everybody else to enjoy instead of only us watching them? Does that make sense?
Right.
So this event that we're trying to do on is something that can be for the people, by the people shit, as opposed to, you know.
That's a good way to put it. And just like with anything invited, I don't care if it's
my birthday party.
well, or if it's little league picking, or picking teams to play basketball, and you're the last pick or whatever.
Yeah.
There's always going to be an opportunity for someone to get their feelings heard. And like I'm sure you got, we talked about this. There's no intention of ostracizing or purposely not inviting someone. There's only so much room, right? Obviously, I'm stoked that you guys thought to ask me.
No, we needed you.
Oh, thank you.
All the hype you got this last year on your FXR bill, like we're riding your wave right now, brother.
Right.
Speak English well? Come on.
So yeah, there's always going to be opportunities for hurt feelings, but if anything,
I don't think so, because it's going to keep growing.
That's
And there's got to be people left out to ask,
For sure.
If we had 100 people this first, what do we do next year?
Yeah.
Just talk about last year?
I mean, at the FXR show in Sturgis, there was like 120 something bikes. So, and those, every one of those dudes eats, sleeps, and breathes this stuff, like we do.
I mean, Nigel Kennedy. The other thing is, like, we all were at the FXR show this last year, right?
Yeah.
So we also saw a lot of people that we know don't build bikes every year who showed their ass out this year with builds. So do we ask those guys to turn around and build another bike really quick? You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like Nigel Kennedy Shopper FXR was badass.
Killer.
Is he? I mean, maybe he's ready to do another one. I don't know, but it's like, how many people can we go out and test the waters on before we come back with 40 yeses or maybes? And we need it now to make happen, because we have all the shit. Now, after this year, we'll probably have a lot of these things oiled out and figured out. And we'll probably also, hopefully, if everything goes smooth, we'll have a desire for everybody to want to be a part of it. And how we'll have to kind of navigate those waters, we'll figure out when we get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what your intentions are, but I would assume you wouldn't want the same people every year to be in this. This needs to be
First
mix
off,
it up, right?
I'm all about creating events I make zero money on and spend a lot of my life trying to figure out and losing hair over. I love this shit.
Yeah. This is passion projects, baby.
I fucking love it.
Yeah.
Pay me. Support me.
Patreon, hit them up.
Hit me up. But no, it's but I've said it a lot of times, and I'm always going to put my money where my mouth is if you want something to happen, you have to create it. And if someone is creating it, you need to either figure out whether or not you're going to support it or not. And if you are going to support it, you need to fucking start supporting it. You know what I mean? Because if these people that are putting their efforts out there, it could be a guy in your local community that decides to, fuck it, I'm going to put a bike night on. But you're like, oh, fuck that guy. He wants to be popular. No. Maybe he just wants to fucking go to bike night with you, fucking dummy. Show up, support something. Appreciate the fact that you don't have to do some things that someone else is taking the initiative to do.
That's the key word, appreciate. I think if everybody, even in this new year, you're looking for a New Year's resolution to start, approach everything with gratitude. None of this everything that we have, this is all just like blessings on top of blessings. There's people on the other side of the world that would probably kill to be where we are today. Yeah. So don't take any of this for granted. Appreciate every opportunity that's given to you.
Yeah, because we could invite people from Japan, and we'd all be fucked up with FXR builds.
Yeah, forget it. Yeah.
They have the American culture way better than we do.
No, but be grateful for what we have. Support your community. Support your homeboys. Do whatever you can to keep this thing going. Because like I posted recently about you and Ben, don't take this for granted, because this content doesn't create itself. Somebody's got to go and take the initiative. Maybe quit your full-time job and go try something new. But if we don't support one another, then we don't have this. But I personally feel like we're so lucky to be where we are, like right now. I don't know of a time or a previous time in my motorcycle history, my motorcycle life, where there's been this sense of bonds and camaraderie amongst the guys.
I'm blown away who's on the list, because when I was talking to him, I was like, if we can get 5 people That's going to be amazing.
We were worried that the people were going to ask. We're going to say
because
couldn't
in
do
my
it.
head still, I am. I'm nothing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I'm way down here. I'm way down here. And then when
Yeah, we know.
When people
You
are
got a cool
stoked
hat, dude.
Yeah, I'm just stoked that they're all happy, and then they're all willing to jump in on this new whole thing that we created. There's some big names here,
Well, I think that they, like we were just talking about, they also want this.
right?
Because think about it like this, like, and I'm gonna speak for Justin and Big Chris and even Bare Knuckle Paul and things like. Fuck,
Go
we're
down the
all-
list.
We're talking about it.
No, go down the list real quick.
All right, so the people on the list, we're gonna talk about each one of these builders, but we have Big Chris and Justin from FXR division. We have, I think this could be a clout chasing situation for us, but we have Nick Henzo from the FXR Bazaar. He is building a sick ass bike, and we kind of need him to justify us for the rest of the FXR community.
Legitimize.
He's legitimize. That's
There you
exactly.
go.
But I found
He
out
created
through
the Bible for FXRs.
yeah, right over here. I found out through FXR Mike that he was building an FXR, and it was kind of like lining up one of those situations where, like, do you think he can do it for this event? And Henzo was like, yeah, I think so, and bam. So I was like, fuck yeah. Why not?
Meant
Yeah.
to be.
One of the guys I'm super stoked about is Brian Clem from Clem Speed Shop. I got a chance to hang out with him in my first time ever going to New York and meet a lot of fucking heavy FXR hitters on the East Coast while I was with him.
I was jealous of
And
that
so
trip.
one of the first things that came to mind about this was how can I get some East Coast flavor to come? And even though he's not quite East Coast, Detroit is pretty much just like the next step from East Coast. So it's like, you know, Clem is one of the great dudes.
Everybody on the East
Yeah.
Coast knows Brian. Right?
The thing is, like,
respects him greatly.
That's it. Like,
Yeah.
like Brian, when he walks into a fucking event, like nobody's like, "Oh, fuck that dude." Like
No.
everybody's like, "Oh, it's fucking Clem." He's like rad as hell.
He's good people.
I've hung out with him a handful of times. I've had him on the podcast, and even the podcast was a great time hanging out with him and the people that I met through him. I'm forever grateful. So 100%. Anything I can do to bring this dude to the light, I'm doing so.
He deserves it.
Rennie, Easy Rider Cycles. Rennie is he's a local guy here in Texas, and he's been hitting the ground hard the last year and a half. He just took a big plunge, created a shop. He's a diehard FXR guy to the point where we make fun of him for it all the time.
Those Evos. Ugh.
You know,
Oh, my
but
Lord.
he shows the fuck up. He shows up. He's a guy that doesn't get enough respect in, I think, Texas, and this is, in my opinion, a way of showing some respect for how much he has busted his ass to not only help what we all do, but also create a scene down there in Austin. And they have a camp out they put on and all this other shit. So Rennie, I'm glad that he's down. And the thing is, he's an FXR purist. So I feel like in his build idea is going to bring something different than we're all going to build.
Yeah.
You know
All
what I'm
these are
saying?
going to be totally different.
Exactly.
Totally.
And I'm going to save him for last. So
Just to touch on Rennie. Rennie's just a good dude
Yeah.
anyway. You could be around in Antarctica, and if you need a part, he's going to bust his balls to get it to you. He's that kind of guy. Like, it's same thing. I don't think he gets enough of the love for whatever reason, but he's the guy that will bend over backwards for you.
I want to see if he can raffle my bagger off for me.
It's because I guess
with you.
whatever.
Yeah.
But he deserves everything because he is the salt of the earth, best kind of dude there is out there.
Yeah, 100%. So, and then through my last Iowa trip, I was kind of pitching this to a couple people, and you know, Paul from Bare Knuckle Paul and his crew up there were 100% psyched. And as soon as before I even finished the explanation, he was like, "Bro, can we be a part of it?" He asked, he wants to, and so. I mean, how do you turn down a guy that size that you're staying at his house? You know what I'm saying?
Whatever you say.
Whatever you say.
Hey man, well,
Sir,
you know,
yes,
next
sir.
year, no, like, yeah, dude, whatever you want, man. This is your, this is your, hey, this is your place. I'm just
You're talking to his dad.
talking to his dick. Oh man, and then last and honestly the biggest questionable one is Brian from TPJ, which,
Now, who's that one again?
well, he was on TV once. He was on TV
Was
once.
Cops? Was he an episode of Cops or something? Or
Must have been a local channel.
He told me and Jaden some really great stories about how he should have been on episodes of Cops back in the day, running around fucking Lake Tahoe with all his shenanigans. But apparently, through being a fucking hoodlum and a heavy pot smoker, this dude's learned how to fabricate And
I'm so stoked the KTM motor's going in this frame.
well, I'm so,
That's innovative.
Yeah.
Don't
He's
sleep
such
on
an
my guy, dude. I love that guy.
he's so innovative.
Hey.
But now, Brian, I can't do it. Can you
Be nice, no.
be nice to him? I can't do it. Because if I do it, then he's going to record it. It's going to be a real honest.
He's not that smart. I'm just playing. To be honest, I don't even know him far as personally. This is kind of like you were saying earlier. Our relationship between Brian and I is internet.
Yeah.
We just talk all the time on the internet and shoot shit.
Which is pretty much his.
Yeah, because he didn't come to anything.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I haven't seen him.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
actually, he was at Born Free Texas, and
He
I
did. That's
still
where I met
didn't
him.
see him.
I
I
met
saw
him
that
at-
dirt bike he was riding, but that was about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, he rode a dirt bike, KTM, because they're reliable. But then he had to leave it at my shop and get it trailered home.
That was my fault.
So it was.
Yeah.
Okay. You fucked it up.
Yeah, I put bad juju on him because I was like, dude, why are you riding that reliable bike and everybody else is on Harleys? And then it broke down the next day.
Oh.
Well, he gave me some kissy emojis, so I don't know if we're like making out now or what. But anyway, no. For people that don't know, because Brian's kind of had a love-hate relationship with the industry for a long time, and that's something that we've kind of jived on together. He's so fucking capable of creating things, but you need motivation to create things. To be the best, all of us, you need to feel like you're doing it for something that you need a reason, right?
Right.
And sometimes the industry can be very toxic. I hate saying words that like I feel like women would say to me. You know what I mean? So toxic's probably not one of the ones.
No, that's the top one they would say.
Yeah, they talk or mansplaining. Is that another one? So no, it's one of those things where you want to, when you're in the right environment, you want to be a part of it, and that's what this, like we were talking about, this group chat, right? This place of friendly shit talk, but at the same time, like I want to be a part of this and I want to be amongst this, so I need to show the fuck up. So Brian's capable of building. I mean, before I even met Brian, he had built bikes that I had seen while I was in NorCal that I was in love with, right? And even when I went and met him for the first time doing the podcast, the bikes in his garage were like, if I was going to go chopper, that's his style has always been that performance chopper kind of thing that I feel like now is more prevalent than ever, but also at the same time, he's probably more jaded than ever after kind of being innovative for the last 15 years and not turning into anything, if you will. I mean, that sounds, I can't say that. I mean, it's definitely turned into something because he's done well with his brand and stuff like that, but
Well, he's still definitely under the radar.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the skill level is astronomical.
Oh yeah,
I mean, just-
he's really good. He's the man behind a lot of these other crazy builds that you do see on the internet.
Yep.
yeah, for sure.
What's the
Loch
T-Sport?
Ness.
What is it
Oh,
called?
the Wang Sport?
Wang Sport.
Wang
which is
Sport,
so awesome.
Loch Ness.
Yeah,
Loch
all
Ness.
of that.
Yeah, talking about
Yeah,
Josh,
Loch Ness was amazing.
motorcycle
Yeah.
dork. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
trust me, if he lived closer, I'd be trying to like convince him to do something for me for free. You know?
You're really
Hey,
good
dude,
at
I'll promote you online. Come on. But no, like I said, I feel like everybody here on the list, I think they're going to bring something specifically different, right? Even
They
like
are.
even like what I'm going to do versus what you two are going to do. Like your bill's probably, if we're going to be a competition, you're probably going to be the one that has the most appealing. You're going to get the crowd pleasing one because you got a ST fairing and all this going on.
We'll
Just
see,
tell
man.
the
I don't-
secrets.
it's all right.
We
It's
got
not
a
a
whole
secret
fucking
anymore.
thing.
Yeah, we got some stuff to share. But
I'm just playing.
no, yeah, everybody's going to bring their own flavor. And to see all these different bikes, different styles, to see them all put together or
Yeah.
to see them all going down the road together is going to be
That's the most exciting part.
absolutely
Yeah.
unbelievable.
The show, yeah, but that
Even if
Yeah.
the weather sucks, though, think about it. Even if it's fucking
We're
snow,
suffering together.
We're suffering together.
Yeah.
We're fucking doing it.
The first ride I did on my bagger to your camp out, it was 4 hours of rain, and I was smiling for 4 hours straight because it was
welcome.
the first time I ever. And then I saw you and the frown.
Yeah, went home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a
I wish that I wouldn't have become friends with you because, like, when you first came to my camp out, you had wore the red shoes, and I was in love with it. I was like, this dude's got swag.
He does. He does.
He does.
But since then, you have totally not redeemed yourself at all. Just came there, you know, like, how much do you think you helped Craig tap on Turbo figure out his own swag too? Remember he came the camp out with the blue shoes?
Bless his heart. He's still searching. Yeah. You can see whose friends he's been hanging out with. Just look at his shoes. Cowboy boots,
One day
He's
he's in
very
an airplane.
He's impressionable.
Yeah,
yeah,
What you saying?
He's got a lot of different friends, and he's got an outfit for each friend.
Yeah.
He's like a chameleon, isn't he?
Come on.
So that's including us three is the 9. And then we'll have one spot open. So to talk more about that, we want to do like a submit your build. And I know we're kind of clunky on this, but we'll give out an email to submit your build to. And we want your like average Joe type builder. So garage builder, not a big company, just to give opportunity to come ride, come build, and come show off all your work.
I think of a guy like FXR Mike when I think of that. Someone that's in the garage that has a welder or has.
I put him higher than that, but yeah.
I would think that too. I would automatically think.
He should be on top of this list.
Yeah, he should be maybe one of the invited dudes.
It just
I
needs to be
put myself
something.
in more of that than him.
Well, I just think about someone that's got something that, like, first off, you have to be able to commit, right?
Yeah.
Born Free. You're basically committing for, depending on where you're at in the country, anywhere from 10 to 12 days off of work for this event, right?
Yeah.
Now, the fortunate thing is if you become a builder on this, through Durango Harley and Cowboy Harley Davidson, we'll be taking care of a lot of the lodging of this situation. So that's going to save some money for
They will. It's actually already done.
Yeah.
So the lodging is done. So once you become part of the 10, don't worry about the room and stay for all 3 nights.
Yeah. We'll probably work something out for Born Free as well. But Born Free Texas is probably going to be, if you want to do it right, camper, tent, something like that.
Camper.
If you want to like be, I don't know how we're going to do Born Free, because Born Free Texas is not something you want to leave. You want to be there all night.
It is fun at night, but the hotels aren't as far.
Shit, 10 miles?
No, they're not.
I'm trying to do that drunk.
No, but they're not 10 miles. No.
I bet if you had a boat, you'd do it, huh?
What an asshole.
Can't take the ski Natique there.
Good thing ain't no river connecting it, huh? You'd be fucked.
I'll go fuck myself.
Just trying to make this fun, buddy.
Yeah. Well,
The
you're
point-
involved, so it's not.
with the point in Born Free, you can ship your stuff there. You can ship it to somebody that lives close. They can bring it for you.
Well, also, the hotels aren't far. That's what I was getting at. Because when y'all put it out, there's like, oh, they're super far. They're just right down the road.
Well, the thing about it this year, like, I think that Born Free Texas is going to be probably double the size this year
As far as people.
So I think that the people that aren't going to be staying are going to, those hotels that are within the 20-mile radius of there, they're going to be gone. It's not as many hotels as people think. I mean,
I drove through that town. There's a handful, but outside looking in, they were saying, like, there's one. And I was like, well, I'm not even going to look into that one because it's going to be packed. There's actually more.
There is more, yeah. But how do we get on the whole announcing the builders thing?
Well, I don't know. But one thing I was going to ask you guys, like, for clarification, because I'm sure people are already listening and getting stoked about the 10th builder. Mm-hmm. I would assume maybe you guys are going to firm up criteria for how this person can come in, but I can assume this needs to be a bike that you haven't even started building yet.
Right.
Or, it's in its infancy. This is not something that you built last year and it's a kick-ass FXR.
Yeah, you got to build something.
This has to be something built.
And it must be an FXR frame.
So the thing
Right,
is, like,
right.
for us to have this sponsorship, especially this year, until we like get it off the ground, we have to post every Friday with hashtags about our build, right?
To build the hype.
To build the hype around what we're doing. So every Friday, us 10 builders will be talking about, if we've done nothing, then we have to find a way to talk about nothing that we've done about our build connected to this whole build from now till November.
So Jace wins that.
He's got it. He's got it.
So guys,
very good
I'm just
about
talking about. So the camp out is coming up April 27th. This is a post about the FXR build, which we're going to get to that in a minute. I ran out of. It's a 30-second time limit. Yeah. So no, it's on that.
Yeah, but I was just trying to elaborate the point that even the same criteria that we're going through,
That person.
this 10th person is going to have to as well. So if a person is listening now and they're thinking, hey, I'm going to just submit my bike that I finished last week. No. You got to build it.
You got to be in a
along with
position.
it.
I mean, like I said, a guy like FXR Mike is kind of like on that level of where we're gonna have to get a guy, because other than that, like, we're not talking about, hey, I'm planning on putting a fairing and T-bars on my bike between now and then. No, it's like, are you gonna build something
build.
cool? Like,
Frame up build. It has to be a frame up
there
build.
There you go.
And that's what we want to see, the frame.
Yeah.
That's all I have now is a frame and a motor, and they're not together. They're separate.
I got a frame and a tank.
Yeah.
And to clarify, it doesn't mean exclusively factory Harley FXR frames, right? Because we got some guys here,
We have a Kenny Boys
Kenny Boyce.
frame. So, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not a hard and fast deal.
No.
Well, the Kenny Boyce thing is a very common frame within the FXR world, so it gets the pass, if you will.
Of course.
I mean, other than that, there is no other frames that were really predominant to the FXR platform.
Right.
I believe the Kenny Boyce
Mark
frame.
Rowe was another one as well.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
we get
Look,
it. You're around a while.
You're old.
no, we get it. We get it. You got some mileage.
But I've only been in the FXR community for like the last X amount of years, and so that's a frame or a era of frames that I've heard quite a bit with the pro street style.
Absolutely.
Right. I'm sure that there was plenty of people that were making this frame because it's such a popular style frame. You know what I
For
mean?
sure. I mean, even Paco made FXR frames. Chopper
they did? Yeah,
guys
that's true.
did some killer chopper.
I mean, fuck. What's his name? Yappy has the M8 FXR frames. Remember?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen much of those come to out.
Is it a
but
full frame or a kit?
It's a full frame.
Full frame.
Yeah, that runs M8s. Yeah.
But I
I'll
don't
go
know if
fuck
they've.
myself then.
I don't know if he's built
You know
any
about
other
that?
one.
I knew he was
I
doing a
thought
kit.
you were listening to my podcast, dude.
Oh, no. When you
We
talk, I
just did
stop
a
listening. Just
whole
like right now.
podcast about this with Yappy.
I don't know if he's done any more since that first one, though. Honestly, I haven't. If he has, I don't think I've seen much promotion of it
Call him
or
and ask
any
him.
promotion.
Big shot.
I don't know.
But-
I had to go through his accountant or some shit.
Oh, Lord. But I mean, we got several different styles here.
Yeah.
We got everything from Pro Street, like what Brian's doing. I don't know if we want to talk about like what Nick's doing, what you plan on doing, what Bare Knuckle Paul.
What is
plans
Paul
on
doing?
I don't know. He never answered the email, so we'll
Oh,
go
what are you
fuck
Well, he had
ourselves.
made a comment though in the chat about he was going to do a chopper,
Okay, chopper.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
and
Well, let's run through that. So, I guess let's run off this list and then we'll talk about
do it.
ourselves. So Chris and Justin from FXR Division, they're going to do a M8 FXRP. It's going to have all the cool guy shit that they know how to fucking bring together, like the 128 leading edge M8 motor. So another M8. So you
Yeah.
guys got some competition.
right.
You know, he's going to go. They're FXR Division's coming out with a lot of parts for touring stuff, and I think they're going to lean into
Yeah, they got the bags,
Yeah.
all the bag mounts, all the stuff, which is dope. Yeah.
So
Are you using his bags too? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get on that. Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about it now.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. I don't want to take their shine,
I'm
man.
joking.
you know, like I said, FXR Division, they're I believe the first ones to do the M8, correct?
The
Through
They
The M8
did
FXR?
Holtz. That,
Yeah.
in my opinion, that was the first.
yeah,
it was.
the Holt Jeff Holt M8 FXR, the police bike, right? That was
Yeah, it was an FXRP.
Yeah.
It was something that Motor Witch and Jeff Holt, V-Twin Visionary, used FXR Division / Justin Coleman, Torch Industries to do the fab work.
Yes.
But that's your groundbreaking, pioneering M8 in an FXR frame.
And that was fuel injected and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And this is like 2017, 2018 time.
Yeah.
It was
this
the first. It was like new bike.
Yeah,
test
like
right
you're
there.
not even. There weren't even any wrecked bikes
Right.
to go get a drivetrain out of. They had to get a drivetrain from Harley, I think, or that sort of thing. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, they've shared obviously some parts that it's not much of a description on what the stylistic vision they're going for, but these parts
yeah.
are the cream of the crop. This is as high end as I can imagine. I mean, you already talked about 128-inch leading edge motor. Baker
Grudge box.
Yeah, Baker Grudge box. That thing in itself is a work of art.
Yeah.
A Baker Grudge box. Some of their own parts, like their fender, like you said, the detachable bag rail system, Lindell parts, inverted front end with Olin's cartridges, just incredible caliber. Of
Yeah,
parts
and
going into
they
this build.
typically lean towards a really great painter, Flying Iron Designs out
Yes.
there, who has a very unique style that I think is almost synonymous now with the FXR Division brand, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Is
You
that
know
who
what I mean?
painted those last two baggers they built?
Yeah, yeah, and
a lot of stripe
My-
work and
Yeah.
Yeah.
clean, simple. I love
Oh
it.
my
Yeah.
God.
It's
Top
a different
shelf.
it's a different vibe, but
Yeah.
it works. I mean, trust me. Andy out there is one of my favorite painters. She's also one that does all of Danny G's bikes.
Oh,
It's a she, you said? A she, Andy?
No,
You said
Andy.
Andy? Okay.
heard she, too.
I heard you. Okay. I thought Andy was a she. I heard she. But Andy's
You
a
did.
dude.
Andy's a dude.
Sorry, Andy.
yeah. She
Chase
said
is-
she
I
also
heard it
does.
too.
Yeah.
It wasn't just you. I heard it too.
Yeah. Sorry, Jace.
I guess I'll go.
Is
I was trying to
is your
give you a
retainer
chance
in?
to-
Maybe just a he.
I was like, yeah, dude, lean into it. It's a she. It's a she. Come on, let's monetize
maybe
this podcast.
maybe he identifies that way. I don't know, man. You know,
Oh, boy. This is taking a nosedive.
I've had 3 tall boy fucking Guinnesses.
So we
right?
started this. I was like, man, you're drinking those thick beers? Yeah, I drink them slow.
3 in. 1 hour in. 1 hour, he's got 3 down.
Dude, I've been waiting on y'all all day, dude.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
So also, like I said, FXR division they're never going to disappoint with anything they bring to the table.
But
So
they also are doing FXRP fairing and bags,
Yeah.
so it's going to be like a full.
that's probably the only one in the group that's going to pull a FXRP fairing in the mix. If you think about it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I don't know anybody else.
Well, yeah. I don't know obviously the
either.
intimate details of these other guys.
I'm
Brian
almost positive Rennie's not.
is not good at following directions. but he
TPJ
just
doesn't
sent
have
me a-
internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
He
then
sent me one sentence of what he's doing to his bike. So
Paul's
it's like,
accountant haven't reached out yet.
Paul's
So-
accountant. Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
uh, so
I'm holding out hope for the mystery man. Come on, number 10.
Come on.
Nick Henzo, everybody should know that Nick Henzo is the man behind FXR Bazaar. And if you don't know about
The Bible.
this amazing book that Nick Henzo put together, the
That's weird. Mine's not red.
oh yeah,
not
Oh,
famous.
sorry.
You didn't- he got a, you
I got a red.
red
Yeah,
one?
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just don't worry.
Maybe
about
next year.
I don't think it works that way.
Sorry.
I'm just giving my hopes up.
So if you're lucky enough to get a
That
red
gold
book,
is popping too when you do it back and forth like that in the light.
did you get yours signed?
Oh, yeah.
Did it say like
Yeah.
thanks?
No, I got like
Did it say-
paper around mine when it came in the mail. So
Did it say thanks, Justin? Thanks for all the help. They didn't say that.
It didn't. Nothing.
Oh shit!
Not at all. Let me
My
look.
bad.
Nope, mine doesn't say none of that.
I love it. It's like, and it's got his actual signature.
Huh.
So it's just something very special to myself.
He's an author. This is
yeah.
yeah.
I guess mine's
Well,
fake.
I remember
Justice was misdelivered. It meant it was supposed to go to Tony. It ended up in his place.
yeah, because Tony built an FXR that outshined yours, and so anyway,
I'm gonna let him enjoy all this
Dude.
until about August when he's
you're teeing
freaking
me
out.
up. You're teeing me up.
That was an alley oop.
This motherfucker Gary Payton me. I'm Sean Kemp in this motherfucker.
I like the reference. It's a good reference.
My man brought up a Gary Payton or Sean
Sean
Kemp.
to Sean Kent. Classic right there.
Yeah, we were doing a deal. Well, honestly, no, Nick is definitely going to be in the history books in the FXR community for what he did for this book. Right. There is so many great stories about certain people within this world of FXRs in this book. Everything you can think of.
The VIN number breakdown was amazing.
Yeah, the VIN number breakdown. Everything. Like, you cannot. If you're an FXR guy and you don't have this book, then I don't know. I don't know what to call you.
I don't know. Does he still have copies
I think
available?
he does still
Is
have
he,
copies. I think.
still producing
Really?
them? I'm
I
not
thought they were
sure.
done.
Yeah,
I thought it was a run
first
and done.
run.
It might be, but he might still have copies. I don't know. But anyway,
The demand was incredible.
Yeah.
so
I like red better than mine, but just saying.
Nick started FXR Bazaar. He's a part of a good group of friends of like FXR Mike, Blanton,
Yeah.
Loch Ness, Josh,
Yeah.
these guys, and they've all been kind of like just guys that all like really awesome people, to be honest with you. Like knowing everybody in that group has been a privilege. Sorry,
Yeah.
these things are starting to fuck with my speech.
Yeah, you can't be in a bad mood around Josh.
Yeah, exactly. Like
He's amazing.
If you think your life sucks, it doesn't suck when it's around Josh.
No,
That's for sure.
no,
Like, you
he's a
don't-
whole vibe.
You
I
don't
love
bring
it.
that shit to the table over here. But so he did all this work, and like I said, he's also one of the main guys behind the FXR Jam West Coast or West Coast FXR Jam. So this dude is 100%. When I found out through FXR Mike that he was building an FXR, it was like this would be an amazing opportunity. And he's behind the chopper. What's the thing called? The Virginia City chopper build stuff.
Yes, the not
Roundup. Yeah, Virginia City Roundup.
Virginia
is,
City
yeah.
Roundup,
It
and
is,
they
yeah.
also they did the spinoff of it in Daytona. I forgot what it was called, but that's one of the ones that they had went to when I did the podcast with Josh.
And that's the reason Josh went to Daytona.
Yeah, and
I
he
saw him
came
there.
through
Yeah.
and did this. So, like I said, this man's very involved in the FXR community in all aspects, and to have him on board with this is kind of like a thank you. Like, we appreciate
it's
it.
a validation.
He's building. There's a lot of 82 choppers in here, which I'm actually kind of, as much as I've talked about how I want an 82 FXR, and then all my friends decide to build them.
But
around
nobody
me.
would give you one for free?
Yeah, nobody would do it for free because of all the ways I can advertise for him. It's insane. No, he's building a 82 FXR. It's going to remain a shovel, which I think is pretty rad, right? So I think you had mentioned before we're going to have this very wide range of motors within this group between twin cam swaps, M8s, and
So there's 3 M8s. You, me, and then FXR division.
FXR division.
Right.
And then I'm twin cam, and Clem's is twin cam, which we'll get into in a minute.
There's 2
And then
shovels too.
2 shovels, yep, because
Who's the shovels?
Brian,
Besides-
TBJ.
There's
shovel.
three. There's 3
okay.
shovels then.
There is? Who else?
Rennie's trying to do a shovel.
Oh, he is?
Okay.
I was going to say, I figured, I thought Rennie would probably do an Evo, so we don't have any Evos in these.
I think he's trying to.
Wow.
We don't. We don't know what Paul's build.
True.
Paul May.
I don't think he's going to build an Evo, though. He'd probably do an M8, if anything.
Well, but I thought isn't this the one he's doing for his son?
Not sure.
Okay.
Not sure.
But
Yeah. So I
Nick-
think. Yeah. Back to Nick. Sorry.
yeah, Nick.
Yeah.
He's building a chopper.
He is.
He's building a flat out vintage styled chopper.
With the 21 front.
Yeah.
18 rear,
Yeah.
slab side cases, or case.
That's something not to breeze over. This
Yeah.
dude is going to take a nose cone shovel. And if people don't know what that means.
Yeah, like fill that in for us because
Yeah.
we're fuel injection guys.
I know what it is. You have Jenny shovel. No
Shut up.
Okay. Read the book.
Yeah, it's in the book, page 18.
I don't want to bend it up, dude.
Yeah. Jeez. Stop, Nick. Stop giving him stuff.
So basically, in 1970, Harley came out with the nose cone style of bottom end, which basically means that everything previous to 1970, they used generators and not alternators. So the right side case on a motor has a nose cone, right? So it bulges out more. Whereas in the years prior, like what Nick is going to be doing here, is running a slab side. So it's just this flat, much more flat appearance. It's a completely different styled gear cover.
Kind of looks like a Sportster side cover.
It kind of does. It's a flat,
Yeah.
right. It's more synonymous with the panhead, the knucklehead in that era.
Yeah.
But to put that in an FXR, I don't know if that's ever been done before, a generator style motor. Now, granted, he's not going to run a generator. He's going to have a right side case that is from the generator era, but his left side case is for the alternator. Yeah. So for a modern alternator, a modern charging system.
Just that right there is a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean, right. And to put it in an FXR,
So
it's going to be an
an actual-
interesting aesthetic.
He's doing an actual slab side, not like how a lot of people have done, like the Magneto, like how like Yaniv did
that's
that.
something. That's still a
That-
nose
that's-
cone
yeah, that's
motor.
a
That's
cone.
still
It's a nose
Yaniv
cone
did
with
a
like a
nose
cover.
cone with a
Yeah.
Magneto.
Yep.
But matter of fact, Jaden, I don't know if you're sharing. He sent a render or a drawing. I don't know if
For Henzo's?
for Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll
Maybe
pull it
that'll
up.
help.
This is
Kind
awful.
of
You
give
got
a
it, okay.
visual for what we're.
I can't figure out. I'm not that nerdy.
You can't see, but I've got the one with the green flames on the tank.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
it was a
it's a
sketch, right?
Yeah. Oh.
Like a hand drawing.
Yeah.
Hand drawn. Yeah.
This one.
Yeah. So
But
he said that
that's
he wasn't actually cutting the frame, but he was modifying the frame. So
Okay.
it's going to have a chopper fucking stance, if you will, especially with the
Yeah.
1821 setup on there.
So that's classic chopper, 1821. and
Ultra
especially-
narrow front end.
Ultra narrow. So what does that imply? No front
front
brakes.
Yeah.
No front brake on an FXR with an ultra narrow chopper front end that's extended, right? So he's going to have that stance, that classic chopper stance. The bottom frame rails are not going to be level with the ground. It's going to be
Yeah.
sitting
Kinda,
tall
yeah.
and pretty, tight.
Tight.
Yeah, and so he's going to narrow the tank as well because you can't have some big fat stock FXR tank on this slim down ultra narrow chopper that's like very minimalistic. So I'm interested to see the execution on this. He's doing some funky stuff with the rear fender as well.
I hope he does foot clutch.
Oh,
Oh,
I
man.
don't know.
I hope
I'm
he
not
doesn't
sure.
because I don't want to have to get ran in from behind. Or anything. Especially
You're used to it.
What'd he say? What'd he say in the chat? I'm watching YouTube videos to see how to do this. Yeah, I think he did. He, is doing
He did
foot-
say that.
Yeah.
He is?
Yeah,
He
he
did
said
say-
I was watching a YouTube video to figure out how to do this on a hill or something.
Yeah,
a foot
perfect.
clutch on a hill. So
Yeah.
this is going to be really a melding of the chopper world and the FXR world into one.
Which
So,
is
shout
night
out
and day
Nick.
from what you're doing.
He's have to roll backwards and then feather the clutch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be a shit show.
Wow.
But you know what?
Interesting.
Hey, if choppers were easy,
Hey.
you know,
Yeah,
I'm interested. Like I said, it creates a different vibe with this, right?
Yeah.
Like like a shovel head, which I would have loved to go on shovel head if I didn't have the opportunity to have the motor that just sitting in my shop. You know what I mean? But
Well, look at the stuff that Nick has done before in his previous builds. It's very outside of the box. He's not afraid to try new ideas, even design and have parts made. I think he's worked with Brian as well, right? For the struts that he had came out, the FXR Bizarre struts.
he worked with or he also created the windshield too for the
Bizarre
the
blocker.
nest. Yeah, for the nest
Yeah.
bearing to give you more.
Yeah.
So
Right. So there's some innovation happening here. So I'm stoked about this build.
yeah, whatever he does, he's going to come correct, and it's going to be
Yeah.
dope. And I'm, like I said, once again, honored that he's a part of it because, if all the FXR nerds out there start talking shit, we can hey man,
We can all point at him.
but Nick is with us, so let us have it. So Clem's, like I said earlier, Clem was one of the dudes that I immediately thought of when we started putting this stuff together, figuring out who to ask to be a part of this event. He's always been an FXR guy. I know that he has a bagger. He does a lot of dynas, but he's out of Detroit, right? Detroit is it's muscle. It's fast. It's racing. It's all this. And I knew that, when I reached out to him, he was stoked, but he was also I wasn't planning on building a bike that I could ride 1,000 miles. I was planning on building a bike I could race on the Bonneville Salt Flats. So he said, all right, well, instead of going 80% race, 20% street, I might have to do 70% race, 30% street.
He's still nervous about
Yeah.
it.
He's still nervous
he's
about all
nervous.
this stuff. And, yeah, man, I don't know, man. It's
Well, he's got some heavy hitters that he can rely on, and he
Yeah.
talks about this in this description that he sent to us. But we're talking about some very, very well-respected people from the Detroit scene. One of my biggest chopper influences when I was heavy in the choppers and someone who I relied on for every build to get parts from was Fab Kevin. This dude,
I want to have him on the
is
podcast so bad.
legit.
Yeah.
Is he from there as well?
Yeah, he stays quiet. He's not braggadocious. He his parts are on so many bikes out there that he probably just doesn't get the credit that he deserves. But Brian's got his help. He's got Jim Bob Haynes from High Output Engineering, Eric Barnett, Speed Junkie Cycles, insane machining skills. Forget it. And he's
Way
also-
better than Justin, right?
yeah, I mean, it makes Justin look like an idiot. I'm kidding, Bubba. He's got Mike
So
from
nice. He apologized.
Mule Finger Studios. I mean, he's got a good scene up there, a good support system.
But also, Brian himself is amazing.
Yeah.
He's a one-man show, right, at his shop?
I think
I
so.
believe
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
so.
He
I
might
think
have
at this
help, a little
Yeah.
bit here and there, but
But he builds amazing
So yeah, everything Brian does is top shelf. Really great attention to detail, and he loves making power. How can you be from Detroit and not be into muscle and
Yeah.
power? And
shit.
it's
He's going to have it
be-
on this one. 120-inch billet fuel-injected monster.
Brian, I am concerned about your ergonomics. You're building a bike that has this posturing for going on the salt flats, and now you got to ride it 1,000 miles with us, Bubba. So
and unless
Yeah.
you're sober, you have to drink with us every night.
we may have.
Does he
to-
not drink?
I remember drinking with him a lot, and then eating Taco Bell with him late at night on our podcast in Long.
We
Long
may
Beach.
have to take
Or Long
turns
Island.
and let Brian ride our bikes, which has better ergos.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Have you
to
seen my
give him a
seat?
break. Love you, Brian.
Yeah. Justin's like making a seat right now, straight out of metal.
Yeah.
We get it. You can cut it.
Well, I was going to
Fuck,
ask
dude.
one of my friends to do it for free, but I figured you already asked them all. So, anyways, he's
Yeah.
Those are my fucking opportunities.
He also wants to give shout out to Chris and Dave Bridgewater. He said these are two of the most important people in his build. So he's been trying to get this bike done for the Salt Flats, I think, for a while, and now he's got obviously a very, very good reason to finally get it, bring it to fruition. So
I mean, there's a part of me, man, like if I could figure it out to do like a fly to Detroit trip to just sit down with like guys like Brian and have him connect me with all these more or less OGs
he's
of
a
like
gatekeeper. Yeah,
motorcycle fastness and like guys like Fab Kevin, like that would be worth it to me to do the trip and make it happen. Like that way I can get a lot of these guys just on the podcast to talk about, he's talking about they have the two fastest FXRs in the world.
I want to know more about that.
Yeah.
Chris and Dave Bridgewater, right? Two of the most
Yeah.
important people in this build. So yeah, they have the two fastest FXRs in the world. Like I want to know who they are. Like, and I want to share to the world who they are. Even if they don't want to, like it's not their intention to be braggadocious, like you said, or out there. It's like, it's important to find ways to exploit these people to do rad things. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. They deserve recognition because these guys they're never going to go and seek it on their own.
Yeah.
They'd rather let other people do the talking for them, I'm sure. But look, Brian's building a 120-inch, another big motor, right?
Yeah.
Wow. 120-inch billet fuel-injected monster. So God bless him. That's gonna be fun to ride for 1,000 miles.
Well,
I'm excited.
I'm excited for him too because I've never not had a great time around Brian, whether it was hanging out with him in Sturgis or in fucking New York when we did that
Brian
shit.
Clem.
Yeah,
Not
Yeah.
TBJ's a weed smoker. He smokes weed and then he disappears because he's like thinking about shit or something like. But yeah, I don't know, like having him come out and see this other part. Like, I guess some people also, it's like, up there it's comfortable to go to New York. It's comfortable to Sturgis. It's like in the vein, if you will.
Yeah.
I feel like this is it could be out of his element. I don't want to speak for the man, but it could be out of his element to be in Texas or Durango and do all this.
And that's why I reached out saying, hey, I know I'm still far away.
Yeah.
But I'm like a midpoint kind of, especially
Yeah.
to Durango probably. And then let's just all load up. And even if we load 4 or 5 bikes up on a trailer, ride out there. Because we're not going to ride out, or you can if you want.
Yeah.
But most of us going to trailer out to Durango and then ride back. Instead of having 10 trucks, 10 trailers, we can all come together on that.
Yeah. And some of these brands are also like, they're coming to Born Free. They need more than just what they can fit on a bike.
Right.
And so it makes
We can
sense
load
for
the
this
truck
all
and
to
trailer
work
up.
out. Yeah.
Yep.
So we're trying to be as accommodating on every aspect as possible.
Well, let's not discount the logistical challenges that some of these people have just for getting a bike to Durango, riding it to Texas, somehow getting it back to wherever they're coming from.
Right.
I mean, Nick's in California. Brian Clem, he's in Detroit.
Yeah.
Right.
These are logistical nightmares. So they're really making sacrifices to be part of this build with us, which is let's face it, we don't have the same challenges that they do because we're already in Texas.
Perks of
or
fucking
close by.
hosting your own show.
That's it.
I'm in Little Rock.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Well, there's nothing happens there.
So bravo to these boys.
Talk about something while I go pee out this Guinness real quick.
So y'all brought up the the traveling part on it and the destination a couple times, and it's something I wrote down. What do you think the chances of this somehow? And you brought up whoever started the West Coast FXR Jam.
Nick did.
What do you think the chances of this, if it really goes off smooth, maybe being that fourth? So instead of that FXR being a Triple Crown, maybe this being a new destination. So you've got a north, south, east, and west. It's a not necessarily 4 corners, but
Right.
It's like mid.
you add to that FXR pilgrimage, and not only that, the 10th guy is going to be this guy. You guys want to be a builder, somebody doing a frame up build. But what about the guys like our buddy Todd that just won an FXR? What about the guys that just bought one that say, you know what, the guys like Brian that fuck it, I just want to ride across the country and link up with you guys, and it being kind of a thing where anybody can come. And like I said, I don't want to use the word pilgrimage; almost sounds too much. But there's something to it.
We
where
want a big group to come.
It is an FXR. I mean, it's one of those things where if you knock it out of the park, I don't feel like that's completely
out of the realm.
Yeah.
No. The only thing that's not going to get like credit would be at the show, right? Because you're not going to have that spot. But that's the least part of this whole thing.
And you say that now. One thing you were talking about the South Dakota. Obviously, I mean that's a big thing itself. That show's under tarps, and there's something about this one being in Texas. You can't really answer to it, hillbilly, being from Arkansas, but these two other guys can. There's something about the Texas sun, and especially when you get it in October, when you know what I mean? Like, we got perfect weather, but there's something about, like you said, the pictures, the scene, the vibe.
Something
it could be
about
something,
it.
man.
Yeah.
This could be something huge.
Well, to your earlier point, I mean, this
to
could,
that community,
yes,
specifically.
it absolutely could, and it's not something that I'm sure will. How can I say this? Assuming that it does get enough momentum, enough gravity, then people will naturally just gravitate and consider this like a must-do on an annual basis. Like, man, the FXR tour every year, I got to make it.
Yeah.
I got to make it. Maybe their schedule wouldn't align to where they couldn't do East Coast Jam or West Coast Jam.
But you can get to Texas.
Yeah, you can
And
get
who
to
the
Texas.
Fuck doesn't want to go to Texas?
Heck yeah. So, yeah, I think you really
He's
highlight a
thinking-
great point.
He's thinking about something, but it's just not there because he's from Arkansas.
No, just to add on to that. So it is a big group, whatever. Everybody's welcome for the ride and the parties along the way. So that is not exclusive to anything. So we do want a lot of people.
And that's the thing. I know, Cory, you kind of scoffed at the word tour. You've got your bugaboos about that word.
Yes.
But there is something to that as far as making it kind of accessible to anybody. And like we've said on anything, trips or whatever, your personality is going to weed you out. You can open it up to everybody, because if you're a weirdo, you're gonna whatever.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the more the merrier in
Absolutely.
some aspects. And
Absolutely. I
Well,
couldn't
think
agree
about
more.
it. If you're just a average Joe, which I don't mean that in any derogatory way. You're just the average Joe in the motorcycle scene, want to be in a builder, and you get to go tag along this and hang out with the guys that are kind of masters of this, and you're not a weirdo. Like, those kind of, whatever you can gain from those interactions or those couple stops, like, that could be detrimental to the path of where
Life-changing.
you're going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or where you want to go. It could be, unfortunately, we're not there enough to get a camera crew to turn this into a TV show so you can watch this on your fucking lazy boy at 6 months later after it's taken place. We're telling you on a podcast and letting you know that you can be a part of it, right? Mm-hmm. And you can experience it the same way. I mean,
Right.
you might not be a builder on it, or maybe you will be. You know what I mean?
But I would have gave anything 20 years ago to ride down the highway with Billy Lane or
Oh,
whoever.
hell yeah.
Could you
Oh, my
imagine?
God. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I'm not
it's
putting myself in
incredible.
that position
Kind of
whatsoever.
did. You kind of did.
I'm putting these,
No, I get what
You know
you're
what I
saying.
mean.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
and I'm sure if you asked Billy Lane 20 years ago if he's Billy
Yeah.
Lane, he's no.
Well, yeah, 20 years ago it was a different world, and now you have a lot closer, whether it's real or not, access to these people that you look up to
Right.
in this bike building world. And yeah, the fact that this is on an FXR. I'm thinking of guys like Ian. You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
you just want to, I'm going to Texas anyways. I want to go see my friends. Why not ride with these dudes that I buy parts from, that I look up to, that I listen to, that
I'm thinking of Borrelia.
Yeah, yeah,
Borrelia.
it's all-
I
yeah.
probably said it's wrong.
the
name wrong.
Barella brothers,
Barella.
Ian, like all these dudes.
Yeah.
Joey. I'm thinking of Joey. That's what I'm thinking.
I'm looking at this. You're coming south from Colorado, and just people
Yeah, just following
along the way.
man.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I feel like it could create the most, I use this word a lot and I apologize, but the most intimate connection to this, because there is not, like, when some of these brands get to Born Free, they got to go be FXR division. They got to go be fucking, said brand for said people coming across the field to come say hi, right?
But 2 nights ago,
2 nights ago, we're fucking doing shots and
Exactly.
goddamn, eating kale or some shit.
or just having a good conversation about something. You know what I mean? You're
wrapped
you're
up
a lot
in,
more in an intimate.
we're at the
one-on-
Big Texan
yeah.
in goddamn Amarillo getting
Yeah.
a steak.
Oh, heck yeah. This is grassroots. This is not corporate. There's nothing corporate about
Honestly,
this whatsoever.
Conversations with you, and when Adam brought in homeboy that used to do the poncho run, when you told me about that,
Yeah.
Oh, that was epic.
it was
that
epic.
story was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you want to listen to the FXRs of Houston, we did the Terroling Run podcast. I forget the guy's name. I think it was Mike was on the podcast with us.
Yeah.
Yes,
was
that's right.
on that.
Yeah.
Sweet Mike.
Sweet Mike.
Mike.
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
the first time I ever heard about the whole poncho run.
Yeah,
Oh my
same,
gosh,
same. And
wow.
then he like corresponded. Said, yeah, we used to do that. So What blows my mind is how much of these type of events have taken place over the last 20 years that we just don't fucking know about, but sounds so fucking fun to be a part of. It's the same reason like everybody sees the Polar Ride coming up right now in our feeds, because it's a dumb idea and it's just about like a reason to do something. And these events like
Breaks
have
up the winter,
validity.
yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But though, like when you told me about that, told me about these things that these guys used to do in Texas, all wear white jumpsuits and couldn't change for the whole
Insane.
time.
Yeah.
I don't want it. I'm too like fucking like
Don't say pretty.
Pretty. Yeah, that's what I was
Don't
thinking.
say
Pretty.
it, though.
I'm in the pretty boy clique, baby. no, I'm
He get new
just
teeth and now he pretty.
pretty much. Don't worry, I'm still making payments on them. So.
Oh boy.
But no, it's like I never thought about being like, I never thought about going full Danger Dan. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Oh yeah.
And
no.
that's to me going full Danger Dan, which that's not a dig at Dan. If you know Dan, then
You
you
know.
respect the way things smell around you.
Well, yeah, but just like Cory was saying, there is something to the grassroots part of it where Polar Ride, there's so many of these things that we do that everybody benefits from that nobody financially benefits from.
Yeah.
Like all the hype
Right.
about this Polar Ride.
That's a key point.
It's not putting money in anybody's pocket. And if somebody does do a hotel special, gets a special rate or whatever, that's somebody using their own free time to reach out to the hotel. They're not getting paid for that.
Yeah.
That's just for the good. And if they don't do it, don't bitch. But this is one of the things, like, you've got a few people that'll pull their organizational resources together to get it done. But nobody makes any money off that. Nobody's selling anything.
This is
it's
pure. This is for the
exactly.
love of it.
This
You
is
start
for the-
injecting money, and then things get.
Yeah, no, this is for the love of the game. And for this, we all have fun doing this. You know what's even cooler? When we all fucking do it together.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm.
Well, you know, like after
that shit moves the needle for me.
I
the
want to
grassroots
say
parts of it.
becoming friends with Mike from Born Free, because I'd like to use his name a lot, throw it out there.
Mikey. Didn't say
Mikey.
Mikey. That's what I used. Like I was
Mikey.
like, I got my ticket from. She was like, I got mine from Mikey. And oh, you're good. Go ahead.
Well, wink. I know they put together one of the, I guess probably going to be, is and will continue to be for the foreseeable future, the most important show for our generation as far as build, like
Without question.
whatever we're doing, right? So how beneficial that is for me now coming into it in Born Free 9, like that's whenever I came along and got to be a part of it, right? That's beneficial for me. So they had already done 8 years prior to that, right?
There's a whole world going on before you even knew it was going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think 100%, yes, they deserve to be able to make money off of that and hopefully pay a chunk of their money so they can devote more of their year to curating the show that benefits so much more so many
sure.
people, right?
They deserve it.
That's the
Absolutely
aspect
deserve
that the world has to get, like, Born Free. It's not free. It costs money. Yeah, no fucking shit, dude. It
Go rent
costs
those porta potties. How much that
Yeah.
cost? Like 30 grand or whatever. It was some crazy number, you know?
like to put together something for everybody to enjoy and be perfect. It's like, it's just astronomical.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the way we do the events, the camp out, the Polar Ride, the fucking everything we're involved in, it doesn't cost us any money. So we try not to let it cost you any money.
Right.
Right. But if all of a sudden I got to pay for our camp out space, motherfuckers, y'all paying for this. I'm not paying for this.
Not
I
taking
already
the loss.
bust my ass to create this event and bring these people together.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm not going to also pay for it for you. Fuck off.
Sure, but money is making money is never the motivation.
No.
behind these events. This is
It's the
If it was,
opposite.
I wouldn't be doing this.
This is passion.
It's the opposite,
This is
actually,
passion.
with this one. I mean,
It's creating something that everybody can benefit from if they
Yeah.
fucking lean into it. You know what I mean?
That's right. Right. Yeah. Everybody needs to contribute.
So, yeah, I don't know. That's
All right.
my rant. I'm done with that.
This
good.
let's not skip out. We got Rennie next on the list.
Yes.
Rennie-
So I know about Rennie's bike a little bit. I don't
You
know
do?
if you,
Okay.
yeah.
So
So, and
since
he was
he
kind of
did-
be kind of secretive a little bit for some reason. I don't know why, but so he's leaning more into the Indian Larry style, which I love. Dish tank,
Really?
shovel head. Yeah, that style with
Okay.
FXR frame. So I'm very excited. I hope it comes through and everything comes through with that. So I mean, that's basically boils down to it.
Yeah, I figured whatever Rennie would do would have like some kind of nostalgic to some said era
Yeah.
of bikes where he's going to source things that just fit. Like I said, I expect nothing less for him to have like a lot of nostalgic vibe too, because I know him as a very nostalgic person, a very
Every
sentimental
piece
person. You know?
means something almost. Yeah.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, Rennie didn't give us any fucking thing to talk about.
Yeah, he talks to me, so it's
He's
okay.
not very good at following directions. But, for the most part, it is dope.
Yeah, but you said it is definitely shovel head is what he's leaning toward.
Yeah,
What
so
it sounds
but it's gonna be like a S&S shovel, so like a new shovel.
Ooh.
And then dish tanks, kind of Indian Larry style, small tank, small chopper, nimble.
Yeah,
So
I can get down with that.
yeah, I'm
Wow.
excited.
So we may have a few choppers in this group. So
So
Stoked.
TBJ, he finally, I guess he's watching the podcast.
he must be at a friend's house using his internet. Right?
He, that's a good one. Everybody's just teeing off on TBJ.
It's easy.
Yeah. Well, so he has an 1982 matching numbers shovel head. I've seen. We were there. We saw some of the things he was doing to it. It was really rad, and it's got a good vibe to it. Narrow tank, dual radial calipers on the front, 35 millimeter front end, 2-inch belt drive. He's making a custom swing arm, oil tank, trees, Baker
Yes.
hydro on tapered tranny, which I'm sure you nerds
So
know.
he's
that.
running an open belt, open primary.
Yeah,
But wait,
Hell yeah.
you said radial calipers on a 35 millimeter frame?
39.
35.
Oh, 35.
Yeah.
That's a first. That's never been done before.
Yeah, so he's
that
going to
I'm
have to
aware of.
machine something for.
He does have a new machine, so
Yeah.
he's capable.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of doing like, when you get into computer programs and it gives you the options to learn. So
Yeah, it's like a drag and drop.
it's a drag and drop.
Yeah.
Wait, can you say that again? Something about hydro? I think he was talking about the transmission or his clutch actuation or something.
Yeah, slow down. Read that. Slow
Rennie
down.
hit him
Yeah,
with that. I
yeah.
emailed this in.
Give Brian
fool.
some credit. Let's stop making fun of him. Give
Check
him
the
some
email,
credit.
Jaden.
He didn't fucking spell it right because I don't got an email from fucking Rennie.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rennie is also dyslexic. So.
Yeah, go slow again. What,
Yeah, read
what'd
that
you say?
again.
What's
narrow
he using?
tank, dual radial caliper on 35 millimeter front end, 2-inch belt drive, custom swing arm, oil tank, trees, Baker hydro on a tapered tranny, custom mids, blah blah blah. I haven't heard of. Have you heard of blah blah blah? Like
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
Well, it's
weird.
kind of like his designs.
Yeah, blah blah blah.
I know my DMs are like, ding, ding, ding.
Well, they're fucking all texting me. They're all texting me.
The only one has
Right.
service.
So he's running a tapered shaft tranny.
Hydraulic clutch.
This
Hydraulic,
motherfucker
hydraulic
got an 82
clutch.
FXR as well. Everybody's building an 82 FXR.
Just to rub it in your face.
All right, so
Yeah.
we're gonna go back to Rennie's because apparently he doesn't know how to use email. He just does a screenshot. But no, I don't know. I don't know if like any of these guys are doing any kind of fairing combos or if it's gonna be kind of more open, just
Sure.
kind of like cafe or normal
Well-
FXR style or something
Well,
like that.
they'll have to start posting and using the hashtag so we can all follow along and
Yeah.
the public.
And
can
we
follow
all have
along
something to look
easily.
forward to because I'm looking forward to all these builds as well. So every Friday will be awesome.
Well, the other thing is the motivation between it. Like when you see someone gets a little bit further along, you're like, "Fuck, like that's sick."
Yeah, like I'm nervous about him because
Yeah.
he's so far along compared to mine.
Well, I did get a little bit of a head start, not knowingly.
Yeah.
But if you want, I can just sit on my butt for 2 months and let you catch up.
No.
If you want.
He's riding out his bike to the camp out.
Oh, don't
We'll
put
see.
that out there. That would
Well, the only thing we were hoping is that if anybody's bikes is done before the deal, to try to keep the publicity down on it, so that it's not like
I see.
if you're going to Sturgis on the bike, then it's not like plastered all over the place.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That way, it's like
And then when it comes to the 10, like, oh, I've seen that bike already out there
Yeah.
these places. Yeah.
Yeah.
so it kind of creates a little bit of just
Pure.
fresh, new,
And
Yeah.
pure.
right?
Sure.
Brian's texting me, I think, or he's trying to figure out how to. Hold on, he's popping up the dots.
Is he on a flip phone?
He's got.
He's so mad right now.
He's got to hit 8 3 times to get an S.
God, remember those days? That's
Yeah, still fucking banged it out when I need some ass though.
yeah.
So jump back into Rennie real quick while Brian figures out how to do text messaging. So Rennie said, starting with the 82 FXR factory frame, right? Picked up locally. Plans are to build an old school shovel head performance chopper. I love the direction of this. His plan is to take the time to learn new old school methods and bring my old school style into the modern day. So kind of like a play to the past with
Yeah.
a resto mod kind of
Yeah.
vibe. I hate using that word. It sounds so weird, but
I love it.
Resto mod?
Yeah.
I love
Oh, I
rest
like
of
it.
mine.
My inspiration will come from 2 words: Indian, fucking Larry. That's 3.
Sounds like Joe Biden.
Joe
2
Biden.
words: made in America.
So Indian Larry, somehow this build has its own soul already, with some really cool coincidences that I'll be sharing along the way of how we got to this point, and how early on when I accepted the challenge, I had no clue I'd end up here. But as Larry would say, I don't know what's going on, but we're here to do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a very Larry thing to say.
If you didn't already know, I love the old school, from old biker magazines, Biker Build Off, and what all of the legends have done before us to pave the way for what we all do today. Most of what I do is heavily influenced by those times. I have a collection of every Easy Rider magazine, and most nights recently are spent looking at all the wild shit they used to do and thinking of ways to add my own twist on things. I can't wait to ride FXRs side by side with this amazing group of people. Mainly, it says my name, but I put amazing group of people.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly not even knowing this, that's exactly what I was kind of expecting out of Rennie, is something to pay homage to all of this. And he's, like I said, he's a sentimental guy, and also a guy that, we put this together. Like, I knew that him given an opportunity, which that sounds kind of weird to say that, but creating an opportunity that he can kind of shine on, and I'm excited to see what he does. To be honest with you, so
Yeah. We're gonna have some choppers, man.
I think so. I think that right now, FXR wise, would you? I mean, tangent real quick before we move on. Like, do you think that right now I think we're all we have chopper eyes right now. Like, we're a little bit jaded on T-Sport fairings and fucking, the whole club style shit that we kind of we have eyes for that. Like,
maybe people are just so tired of seeing the same thing over and over again, the same kind of lines, the same shapes, and they're ready to
not as a dig, but
No, it's just the pendulum
saturation.
swing, right? Okay, we've seen so much of this, let's do something else now. Me personally, with the people that are building FXR choppers, I think the biggest challenge with doing an FXR chopper, and it always has been this way, is what are you going to do on the rear? It's
hard.
It's very difficult to pull off, and not many can do it well.
Yeah.
But you take the triangle of the bike and you look at everything forward, that's
easy.
not a problem.
Yeah.
That's not a problem. Can you make the rear flow with that chopper vibe in the same way that you can with the front? And that's what I'm looking forward to seeing, is how they do it.
the unique stuff
Somebody
that
needs
people
to
are
pull
going
off
to
a
do.
monoshock one.
Oh my Lord. Wow.
That's not chopper, dude.
That's the chopper. If you want to still keep it a swing arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just one thing that I think aesthetically is a very hard challenge to pull off. And it, Nick, Rennie, maybe some other guys here, maybe you might be doing a chopper. So there's ways to
You
do.
fucking know, dude. We've been talking about it all day.
maybe. But I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, so I just wonder if, right now, a lot of the people that want to build bikes, they all are leaning towards that. And honestly, ever since the Gold FXR, which I'm sure you figured out, let me finish, and you can figure out some kind of derogatory.
Hold on.
Jaden, can you put the camera on the Gold FXR?
If anybody
please?
hasn't known this, Jace built
Yeah,
a FXR.
I put
gold
the bolts in, motherfucker. I built it.
Yeah, he lost the axle riding cross country, duct taped it back on. Somebody from Egypt bought the paint. It's still out there. Can we move on with this fucking bike? Jesus
Man.
Christ.
Y'all remember that FXR Justin built?
Yeah.
No.
You know why? You know why?
There's no story behind it. Motherfucker.
Because Jace painted it.
Oh, shit.
geez.
Yeah, ditto. Well, I painted it for a swing arm that I sold.
So he made more money off of it than the
That
paint
bike
job.
did make the club style Arkansas logo, so
It did.
Show
Thank
some
you,
respect,
Scott.
dude. Put some respect on that name.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like for me, I've had a handful of FXRs that's kind of come into my possession over the last couple of years, and I would get hyped, but then the direction that I would normally take to try to build this bike, as I started leaning and looking into what I need to buy, I just would lose interest really quick. I do love riding them. They feel awesome. the last one I got is the one that you bought from me.
That's one
It's
Hudson
gonna
has,
be
yeah.
it's gonna be for your son. And I've talked about doing what I want to do on FXR for, the majority of the time of this podcast. to
You've
be
been
honest
talking
with you.
about it a long time.
And,
it's happening though.
With I did this whole trip like going up to Iowa because I kind of wanted to pay some homage to the Midwest style of bike, of chopper, right? The D-rake, the tall front end, but still nimble, still agile bike.
Yeah.
Still tight.
Yeah, not
And-
long bikes. We're not talking raked
Yeah.
out. We're talking stock rake or less.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to go up there and meet some of the people. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to meet, not necessarily meet, but I didn't get a chance to sit down and do the podcast with two of the main builders from up there that I wanted to do, due to, one being sick and one being out of town. But I've been a big fan of the I think when I was first introduced to the whole D-rake style was through Al Emerson's build. And I'm saying that because that's just visually, that's the first thing I saw. FXR D-rake style chopper that I fell in love with, and I'm like, that is sick. Now I've always loved the whole FXR chopper, the famous picture of the one that says Frisco on the tank.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
I always
iconic.
loved that. It's iconic, right? And as time has gone by, I've like more and more found myself loving that look. It's the only thing that feels sorry, Justin. When I did that bike originally,
Oh, perfect.
fair. Here in Texas and like this side of the Rockies, that setup was not very common to see. So when I would pull into a place, it was such a unique, different thing. You know what I mean? The RP fairing back in the day, at least I say back in the day, 5 years ago, was not as common as it is now. Now it's on road glides, Dynas, Softails,
Yep.
Sportsters, everything around under the sun, right? But back then when I did that, there was literally the only other repop there was I think a JD Fab. There wasn't a lot of options in that realm, right? And you just didn't see it that much. I wasn't plastered on the Instagram, so it was like you were doing something that was unique and different, at least to my territory where we live, not in California and on the other side of the Rockies. So moving forward into this like build, like I wanted to do something that first off, I want to build a bike that's sentimental to me. I want to build a bike that I don't sell, right? That I don't need to sell because I have so much money tied up into it that I can't sit on it, right? And a lot of things kind of came together through happenstance with this situation of Justin putting the whole idea of this show onto the table, which also is forcing me to come and do the thing that I've wanted to do. We've talked about it on the podcast, I've had a street glide here at the shop for going on 5 years now. And unfortunately, it was a good friend of mine. We were building a bike. He passed away. He has no family. He has no kids. And so I kind of assumed this bike, if you will. And he's a good friend of mine. He went by Church House Freak, right? And so that's going to be the name of my bike, is the Church House or Church House Freak. And
Church House Freak is pretty.
he used to always say, like, he's a black dude, so just give you some context. He would just talk about, like, man, do you want to pick up the nastiest hoes, man? Go to the church. They're the freakiest bitches out there. So we used to paint bike. I met him as being a customer of his, or he was a customer of mine. I painted his bike, and it was a Hayabusa, and he wanted nothing but naked chicks and pit bulls all over it.
Yes.
And
Please paint this bike this way.
Tell me you're about to pour a little bit of that Guinness out on the floor for Church House.
I love this Guinness though. But he passed away due to COVID, apparently, which is a crazy one because he was very fit.
Wow.
It kind of came at a shock, and like I said, it kind of, so there's this nostalgic aspect of, like, he's somebody that I really respect. He was in my motorcycle club with me for a long time, and he was a customer, big supporter of everything I've done. So I have this twin cam set up. I picked up a FXR frame from Blanton. That's how you say his name, right?
Yeah, Brooks Blanton in
Brooks,
Canton,
yeah,
Texas.
Canton. And
Solid dude.
In this trip, I was at Bare Knuckle Paul's, and I was looking at his FXR chop, the blue one that he did that Scott Takes painted and all that stuff like that. Takes,
Yeah.
how do you say his name? And right next to it, he had this like frame, this rusted frame roller, but it had this tank on it that had like the vibe that I was kind of going for. Like I'm not very versed in the choppers of like the 2000s, right? So when I pointed at that tank and I was like, man, that's kind of the shape and the body that I was looking for. I don't know scale wise, right? I have no idea how it fits. And I asked him, he goes, yeah, that's a Villain tank from West Coast Choppers. And I'm like, okay, Villain. And I even had to ask him, what was that tank name called? Villain. So I was trying to get it in my head, remember what it was. And so hung out at Bare Knuckle Paul's, had a lot of great conversations. We did a podcast, which will be out in about a month or so. And then my next stop was Frank, the speed dealer, down in Joplin, Missouri. And Frank is an old school West Coast Choppers chopper dog from the whole the group chat thing.
Yeah, this is early 2000s.
Early 2000s, right?
Wasn't Boosted Brad and all that part of that?
Oh,
Boosted
yeah.
Brad, Cody Childress,
Yeah.
a lot of guys were in that chat. And I'm going to say this, like that podcast that me and Frank did, I think that's probably going to be one of the best on my trip because of a lot of those conversations about that and his upbringing to become a machinist and all the things that he's done.
He's good people too.
He's solid dude. So that's going to be that out of the trip between the Scott Takis Paint or podcast and this one. I think are going to be the most like origin story, like great situations. The Bare Knuckle Paul one was good, but it was also like we've already done the origin story, so this is more like what's going on now thing, right? So I was telling him just like, hey man, I was telling him about the FXR build and what I was going to do, why I want to do this trip, because I did this trip based on this FXR build. I wanted to learn more about the Midwest style choppers, right? I didn't want to be just a dude that copied Al Emerson online because I love his bike. I wanted to understand it. I wanted to fucking meet the people that kind of carry that tradition or where that tradition came from. And so I told Frank, I was like, yeah, so I guess it's a Villain tank that I'm stoked about. I think that's the shape that I look. And he goes, I mean, I got one right here. You could have it. I
love it.
I was like, no, you don't have to do it. No, he was adamant. Like, that's the one thing I love about like motorcycles is, and also where I want to be in my life. I want to be at a point in my life where I look at the things that are on my shelf as not things I need to get paid for, but things I wish I could give to somebody to help them build. And it's a position, you got to get to that spot, right?
Yeah.
Because I got a lot of shit downstairs, but I'm not at a point where I can give it away. Like I'm not financially stable enough for that, right? But man, like when he did that for me, like
how awesome was that?
Like I'm forever indebted to this guy. Like that's an amazing feeling. And at the same time, like I said, it's one of those feelings too that like I want to do that for somebody else. Like it's like it's
how it's supposed to be, man.
Yeah.
Pass it on.
Yeah.
Pass it
and
on.
that's how the FXR community has always felt. Like there are guys that are like, hey man, do you need this? If you need it for your bike, you can have it. But if you're gonna just get it and sell it, then I don't think I can do that for you, right?
Yeah.
And so I kind of want to be able to get to that point of.
And this group's kind of been doing the same thing. You know, I put it out there too, and like other people put it out there, like, hey, you know, if you need anything, whatever, we can always trade parts out, or if you're missing something, one of us will probably have it.
Yeah,
I think this group is going to be gold.
100%. So, yeah, I mean, to wrap it up, like Frank, you know, had this tank. He's been sitting in his fucking shop for 10, 15 years or so, and he's like, you can have it. And, you know, it's like, it's real now. Like, I got the tank, too, which Brian had agreed to build a tank for me. But since this happened, it's like, we have to modify the tank we were talking about. It's not going to just bolt on and shit. But for me, yes, I'm trying to build an FXR that's very unique, very sentimental. I think I am going to be able to get my old FXR wheels back from that build to run on the bike.
Which build?
I think he said he built a brown bike in the day or something about a brown.
It's right there.
Oh no, it's gold.
That bike.
Yeah,
Huh.
that one.
That one you built.
That one.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
Maybe
And
you should take it off the wall and just hold it while
Actually,
you're
you
talking.
should thank me now, giving you like another 8 years of content, so you can talk about this one.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So it's like I said, it's a concept where it's like you know, I guess when you also feel like this, like I don't even know how to word it. Like for me, this whole event, this whole thing is about not just like what it can do for us building a bike, any kind of attention, any kind of business, whatever you want to call about it. But just like keeping this shit alive, man. Like how, you know what I mean? Like, do you ever feel like that some of the shit could just go away?
Well, it could if we
will.
don't contribute and keep it going.
Not motorcycles, right? A distinction. Like Sturgis will always be there, but will custom motorcycles in Sturgis always be there? I mean, think about how like Main Street ain't custom motorcycles.
No.
Neither is Lizelle. So
And I never got to experience Sturgis in 2001.
Yeah.
Was it just billet choppers just lined up down the road?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, my first Sturgis was 2015, and it was big wheel bagger haven. I mean, it was unbelievable.
yeah,
But look how much that has changed in just a short time. Now
Yeah.
you're riding around one of those bikes, and it's kind of corny.
yeah. That's a good
At
way to put it.
least in our circles, it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, who knows if custom bikes, if we don't take the initiative and do these sorts of things, then how are you even igniting the fire in the next generation to even want to build custom bikes?
So when I say custom bikes, I don't mean your fairing and your T-bars. I mean people that are creating something uniquely different, pushing the boundaries, like the build that you did this last year with your bagger. Mm-hmm. You completely built so many things, and for some people it might not have a machine or the fabrication skills. Maybe it's like expanding on how they can kind of create these bikes. So custom motorcycles, like that is a culture within this bigger culture of motorcycles, and that shit can go away. It could just become bolt on everything. And one of the things I had said about, we talked at Bike Night about the show that you did with Ben, Get Bent Motor, that he had put out. You said things in that interview that I feel like I wish every fabricator in America could hear, because you talked about, we always hear those fabricators, oh man, these bikes these days, they're not about customizing or building anything. They're just about bolting on parts. And you took one of those type of bikes that bolt on parts, and you fabricated every fucking thing on it and created something new, right? You took and you retrofitted and you made this work and that work, and everything had this massaging of fabrication involved to look factory. It's a challenge, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So there are opportunities, but everybody has to look, okay, you got to be better than Martin Brothers, right? You can't just tack weld the shit around and Bondo the rest. You got to fucking create a thing. And that's not a dig. I love Joe Martin and those guys.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
You're talking about the old days.
The old days, yeah. But you know what I mean? Like there's something there. It's like if custom motorcycles is in the fringes of Sturgis, like, man, like that's the industry that goes away. And then it's just left with Kuryakin and JP Cycles and Drag Specialties. And all these people are the only ones left.
Yeah. More dealership-oriented style.
How fun is it going to be to go watch all this corporate shit? You know what I'm saying? Or hang out with the fucking Geico frog or whatever the hell. We're going to do that.
The Geico
Chameleon.
Gecko.
No,
that's a good point.
Yeah, one thing to go ahead. Sorry.
No, please.
No,
please.
you
He's
go ahead.
really making a good point about things that we're taking for granted, and hey, this could disappear tomorrow.
Yeah.
And if we don't all pull our own weight.
Well, yeah, and my thing is, I think there's always going to be the truly custom. There's always going to be, the main drives, the Kyle Ray Wright. There's always going to be the guys that just the Jacob Kennards that want to build from the ground up. But man, there is something as far as a topic we've talked about. There's only going to be so many of you guys. The industry and not letting it die on our watch, our generation, whatever. That includes a lot of T-bars and seats. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, if you want to call that, we're the next Hell Yeah Brother. You know what I mean? That's the day. It is what it is. It's not meant in a disparaging way, but you got to sell a whole bunch of those to have the handful of guys like that. You know what I mean? That take the next. But the whole point is this generation. It's not fucking dying on us. It's not on our watch. We're doing our duty. We're putting the things, you know what I mean? And it's
great point.
The more you can mix in both the truly custom versus the guys that are, you know what I mean?
There's so many varying degrees of custom.
Exactly.
You got, like, talking about the interview with Ben, you got people like me who fabricate literally, like I said, with grinders. I've got a cutoff wheel and a flap disc.
Yeah.
So look at this past year at two bikes that were built by us two. Mm-hmm. Two totally opposite ends of the spectrum but still, very well recognized and appreciated bikes. Me more on the crude, garage builder side, and complete aerospace innovation, billet CNC machine, but two bikes that were absolutely, in my opinion, just knockout motorcycles.
Yeah, so you
two very
found
different
it.
ways.
You created something with the, your mom dumped a bunch of Legos on the table and you built something with it.
There you go.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I only fuck with red Legos. Yeah.
So I took the Legos, chopped them up, and made different
your own angles.
Yeah.
Different ones. Yeah.
He made the Legos from scratch. He made his own Legos, and I just took the Legos and kind of chopped them.
There's a reason I wanted you on here, and I'm enjoying every bit of this.
It's true, right? So,
yeah. But no, that's the point. Is like, a lot of the people that I've talked to through the podcast or just had the privilege of meeting and knowing, it's like when they tell me about the things that they fell in love with about motorcycles. Yes, it was the motorcycle, but it was also the connection to the people around it, right? And one of the things me and Frank talked about in that podcast that I can't wait for people to hear is like, of all the scenes that you've been a part of, all the things that you found happiness in or like a hobby in, why do you think this one stuck so long? It's not the bike. It's the people. Right? It's the people that keep you connected to the motorcycle stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, like there are the waves of that. There are the points where it gets super drama, super this, super that.
But we found our medium.
Yeah, you those kind of people weed themselves out, especially when they're surrounded by a bunch of people that truly love this.
Yeah.
They're not gonna allow one fucking immature person to come fuck everything up for people. So you have this thing, custom motorcycles, whatever degree of it you're on, whether it's like full CNCs or, grinders and welders in the garage or, chemicals downstairs, right?
Yeah.
We all find this way to modify these bikes, and some of us find a way to do it for a living or not, but we all still show up at the same bike night, the same camp out, the same events, and we're all stoked about that with each other. And that's custom motorcycles. That's what custom motorcycles brought us to fucking together, 100%, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
yeah. Without custom bikes, what's the chances?
We have
of
fucking black road glides everywhere.
Well, what are the chances of us
even knowing each other?
Even knowing one another? That's what I'm getting at. Like, this is the glue. This is the fabric that has brought us all together and keeps us together. And one point I was going to make is, why is there such a gravitation towards events like your camp out or hopefully something like this? Everybody lives in their own isolated bubbles nowadays because of the internet, because of social media. It's not as common to have these events where we can all come together caveman style, right? Around a fire or
it's not about the bike at all, really.
Yeah.
No, that was just the mechanism for
that's how you
meeting.
get there, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, push the bike aside, and it's about the people, and that's where I met so many good people there. So I agree.
Yeah, I think the reason why like events like ours or your Tennessee Motorcycle Revival or your even Born Free, for the lack of, even though between our camp out and Born Free is a big gap, they're still smaller than Sturgis. Like Sturgis and Daytona are massive. Like you can't quite get the connections to the people you want to get connections with in places that big. They're worthy of you going there, but you got to go there with intentions of or understanding what your intentions need to be.
Yeah.
Our camp out or Born Free Texas or California or Tennessee Motorcycle Revival or one of the Texas Hill Show, those kind of things. These are events where you can go and get to know people and they can get to know you, right? If you're a garage builder, if you're a guy trying to get into custom, this is where you can start to get seen, right? Because it's a smaller event. It's less calamity going on. You can kind of you just have better options of getting seen and getting known, right? These other events are good to go to for selfish reasons, to go there and have fun, put your bikes in shows, enjoy the thing. But also, like, Sturgis is like, it's daddy, right? I got to go take care of daddy because I don't want Sturgis to go away. You know what I mean? Fuck Daytona. That can go away tomorrow. I don't give a shit about it.
No problem. Who cares?
Sturgis ain't, that can't go anywhere, right?
Come on, Daytona.
Really? When everybody's like, I'll just fly to Daytona. Like, It's not a bike event anymore.
Sturgis
it's a party.
is Mecca.
Yeah, nobody wants to. I mean, yeah, there's people that trailer in Sturgis all the time, but nobody wants to be in Sturgis without a bike. Everybody's like, I can go to Daytona and just fucking drive. I'm fine. I'll fly into it. You don't. That's not the same vibe that goes to Sturgis, right?
Yeah.
So that's why. I mean, hell, that solves my that case in points. Fucking stamp it, send it down the road. I'm done talking about it. Daytona doesn't compare to Sturgis.
It doesn't compare, but it needs to be there.
Yeah.
It needs to be there.
It's good they have a good airport. You can get to it quickly.
But that's another event where the booth, as far as a brand, a company, you need those.
Yeah.
You need the events with the booth. That helps sustain your brand, grow your brand. You eat off that. You know, that helps pay the bills. One of the things like the Fast Life Camp Out, that's, I think, the ultimate goal in some of these other truly grassroots events is you get the company there, you get the brand, but the booth is removed. Mm-hmm. You don't have the random jerk off behind you waiting for a picture that hurries. You know, it bothers this guy where he can't really talk to you because you know what I mean.
Yeah,
it's just a whole other vibe, and it's hard to put into words the difference in hanging out with a brand and versus being at a show on the other side of a booth or table with stickers in front. It's just night and day. You can't.
Well, that's one thing we've been preaching about our camp out for years is about like trying to get these brands to be what they initially started their brand to be as motorcyclists, right?
You said it 1,000 times. We want the brands there. We want you as a person, not as a company. Leave your booth behind. You want to bring a couple T-shirts, some stickers, cool. But we don't want that barrier between you and the person. We want that person to be able to walk right the fuck up to you and talk to you about anything. And we want you to be engaging to the point where you feel excited to talk about that guy, where it's not the 100th conversation in a row, the same generic.
Yeah. Right. When you set yourself up to be the brand that sits behind a cardboard table in a chair waiting for someone to come up and ask a question about your products, then you remove yourself from the commonality of why you're at this event. But if you're there and you're sitting in your tent, right, and you have a cocktail and your wife's right there and your buddies are right there, then you're letting loose. And people get to come up to you and find out, like, they get to enjoy your enthusiasm for motorcycles. And maybe it is you trailer there. That's fine, but you're there. Your bike's there. You might want to rip to the fucking Burger Barn or some shit later on.
Well,
you know
not only
that,
it gives you the out as that brand. And if you're listening to this and you're a person that wants to come up and fanboy or whatever, take note, whatever. It gives you a brand. You have that exception to if some dude walks up and nerds out on you to tell him, hey, bro, we ain't about all that shit. Yeah. Take it easy here. Let's walk over here. Let's take a Jello shot or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Want some mushrooms?
You get to squash that right there without being an asshole. You're not worried about a sale. You're not worried about turning. You're not. That's not what you're there for. You're there to talk about something.
How many people would you say that like got to know you at campouts? Not even just ours, but like you also did the Michigan camp out. You also did the down south every year. We've both been.
Well, this was our last though, but yes.
But so like going there, you've made relationships with all these essential customers to where people have this like inclination to want to buy from you because they know you and they know you as one of them as opposed to like,
it was a huge help though too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how many companies came out of the camp out, years ago? A lot, me, Steve, there's a couple or more, I think, but yeah. So it's good. That one-on-one, getting to meet you, the booth thing, I get it. You don't like eliminate that and just get to know the people for sure.
It's good to have a home base, but you don't want it to be a home base with products and a table in between you and everybody.
You have after that weekend to deal with that.
We live in an internet-based world.
You can talk to anyone, anytime.
Right.
Make the connection there. Let them buy it online. It's easier to deal with logistics and shipping and fucking. The online store does everything you need to do, and you're in person. You got like, fuck it, what's tax? What's this? What's blah, blah, blah.
Events like yours are what I would consider the great equalizer.
Yeah.
No matter how big you are or small, hey, man, we're all just camping out, hanging out by the fire, getting to know one another, making relationships that are hopefully going to last.
What do we say the other day? It's the backstage pass of all the big events.
It is the backstage page.
You're backstage hanging out with the rock stars that you came to see, and I did finger quotes because you can't see it, but you know what I mean. It's you're part of the group. You're part of the tribe. You don't have to.
Yeah, and I mean, it sucks because we are also like there's not a magazine company sitting there telling the world about who we are, or a TV company saying like, hey, these are the guys like Justin and fucking, Cory, they're building these bikes and blah, blah, blah. Like it's our podcast, or it's a Proper Baggers, or we're the ones putting this information out there on top of yourselves. So when we talk about like going to the camp out and saying like, oh, you get to hang out with all these brands, like some guys in their garage, like these fucking dudes, fuck them. Who do they think they are? Right.
Yeah.
We get that. And yeah, we're nobody. We're just another guy, right? 100%. But I know people who have come to our camp out who have gone on to do some great things and create more opportunities for more people. When I was at Down South this year, I saw more people there. It's also fucking my ego a little bit, but there were so many people there that had no clue about the Fast Life Camp out. They had no clue about where this shit came from. And that's part of it. You get to that point where the now over like it's rad now. Like I don't know what the fuck this came from or why it's here, but I'm fucking here and I'm enjoying it, right? So you get to that point where it's like, I'm still stoked that they found this. They came to this. Yeah. Now hopefully they'll come to ours. They'll check it out. But guess what? I don't fucking get any money if you come or don't. So
nope,
that's one of those weird things. Like the way I make money at our camp out is I sell a t-shirt. Right? So if I put like this, we had 1,000 people show up to our camp out last year. I made 270 t-shirts and I sold 250 of them. Right? That's how I make money.
Pretty good.
Yeah. And I'm not making Born Free money. No. I'm not making Mama Tried money. No. But, we talked today. We had our big group thing today to figure out our trip, but we also talked about some things for the camp out that I'm stoked about. That we're bringing, we obviously we got the Big Trouble Bike Show. Yeah. We need to start talking about this more, not our camp out. So I'm sorry, but yeah. Other than that, we're trying to continue to make this thing better and more opportunity for people to shine at it instead of us shine, right?
Right on. Those are great intentions.
Yeah. You got something on that?
No, I couldn't agree more.
All right. Sorry guys, I had to do my own plug on my own podcast for my own thing. So.
It's all good. But we did go into your build as well,
so we're,
right?
We're
Anything else you want to talk about on your build stylistically?
Well,
like what's the look you're going for?
I mean, obviously for everybody that knows out there, I'm not a fabricator, I'm not a welder, I'm not a machinist. I am very fortunate to have more fabricators and machinist friends that I can count on my hands. So far, I've talked with Jacob Kennard about doing my D-rake on the FXR frame, which he's a Texas guy. I haven't seen him do a D-rake yet, but what I love about him and his style is he cares so much about stance, and that's one of the things that I probably value the most out of this thing. So I have the utmost trust in his vision of my vision. Does that make sense?
His execution
of my vision. Yeah. I don't want to take that much ownership. I just want to say I'm going to give him the pieces of the puzzle, and he's going to put it together for me, right?
Not everybody's a fabricator, right?
Yeah.
And if you got a circle of friends, why not lean on them accordingly? So
and like Justin, there's things I know that Justin will have to come to help me out with, and we've already talked about something with you as well. So. I'm looking at my build as a way to bring together just this massive group of people that I've met over these last couple of years doing podcasts to bring a bike together. Like I said, this is something that if I create enough sentimentality, is that?
I'll go with it.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. If I can create enough to where, like, I don't want to give this away or sell this because you gave me something. Right. Even if I paid for it, that's not the point. But the fact that you built this, I don't want to see it go away and get. Remember when your Sportster build? That's the one that we connected on when I first met you. Remember when you sold it and you talked about how the guy like made it his own, but it kind of ruined it?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't want to take all this things from these guys and put it together and build this thing that I'm proud of and then sell it, especially when it's like there's sentimentality to my friend that passed away, things like that. Sure. And then some other dude repaints it and puts on, flames or some shit on it.
Of course he will.
Of course he will.
You'll have such a high degree of emotional investment into this build. Same as these
same
these
as
lids
elements,
here behind us. Yeah. That you probably wouldn't even be able to fathom selling that and letting somebody else get their vision or want to put their own twist on your initial vision.
Yeah, I was talking about this recently with somebody. Fuck, I can't even remember where. I drink too much in conversations and forget where these conversations take place. But I truly love paint, man. I really do. I love it so much. But it's just not. The world does not see paint as art; they see it as material. You know what I mean? And so, somebody can look at a Wassel tank. It's a fucking Wassel tank from 1950. Blah blah blah. It's amazing, but no one's gonna pick up a gas tank from certain people, a certain era, and go like, man, I just can't paint over this. We just got to find another one. I got to continue this on, right?
Some can.
To some, yeah. And I'm speaking in a position where I've had people resell my paint jobs and instead of repainting over it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like there's still a big population out there where people buy paint for material reasons, not art reasons. Like I want this art on my bike. It's more like when you talked about the seat that you had made on your bike. You fuck with a dude in Japan that does seats the way you want them done, and you appreciate his art, and that's why you go with that direction. Versus, like
just ordering a catalog seat, for example.
But would you take that seat and recover it with somebody here?
Oh my god,
no.
So there's certain art aspects to builds, and I think that maybe it's a check mark to you made it. When people start taking the things that you create and they don't change it because it's something that was created within this like realm of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. Well, I mean, I think there's
not to dig on this Sportster because that's my favorite build.
I appreciate
you know what
that.
I mean? Girder front end, fucking sick as hell. Take another beer. You got any Mondies in there?
No, it's a Lone Star.
I mean, there's still probably dinglings out there who would even buy like an original from Jesse James or an original from Billy Lane and still want to put their own twist. But you would, those idiots are going to exist in any world.
On everything,
but
yeah, but if you have your
for the
own
most
like
part.
tins, like if you got fresh tins you can repaint, there's no paint on it, or there's not a paint on there that's like if it's a black paint job, it's one thing. But man, you got some old hot dog paint job on there. You don't paint over that shit.
You don't. That's sac.
You put
that's
you either take
sacrilegious.
it off and put it on the shelf.
Yeah.
Or you fucking just try to trade it with somebody else to keep that paint job alive.
Yeah.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
Totally agree. Totally agree.
All right, where are we at now?
You done with yours, style wise? You
Another thing.
chopper, right?
Jesus Christ.
I'm good.
Bottom line is you're leaning on your circle.
I'm
to
leaning on my
help you.
circle.
Yeah, heavily.
This is
right?
going to be
You're not a
the
fabricator.
village is building this FXR.
Right. And that's a winning model. I mean, we talked about this before. Like,
I'm not gonna even pretend to like come in and say like, yeah, I fucking fabricated this and no. I already told you like there's things that I want to do, that I want to be a part of. I want to try. I want to But at the end of the day, like I'm more stoked to build a bike where I'm, connected with a lot of people. So when I ride this bike, I think about that experience when me and Jacob were sitting in his garage, like talking about angles and just getting the vision, or when me and you were in your garage talking about setting this up. And to me, like I'm a very sentimental guy. So to me, that's the shit that goes through my head when I'm riding down the highway, especially when I'm imagining riding with you guys down this highway.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Especially if you have a part and you have a part and so-and-so has a part. Like I'm just thinking about
That I'm telling you, that's the best part about this whole deal.
Yeah.
I'm not going to rush to get there, but like I'm so excited to get there.
That's your goal line, right?
That's my goal. It has nothing to do with the show, nothing. I just can't wait to roll down with these people going down the highway.
That's heavy, man.
So let's go. What's
right.
next?
Okay, so you've done yours. Are you done talking about Brian? Did Brian ever email or text Brian TPJ?
Well, he gave us his.
we
went down his thing.
Okay, so
35 millimeter
that's right.
yeah.
That's true. Sorry about
Yeah.
that. Okay, bare knuckle Paul.
We
Yeah,
don't
we
know
Don't
what he's
much,
doing.
right? Okay.
That's everybody besides you and I believe, right? And also at the end, we'll talk about more about the submitted builder.
Yeah, submitted builder. Yeah.
But so I'm building I have 89 frame.
I was gonna ask him first.
Well, the best goes last. The best goes
No,
last.
come on, man.
Right?
Come on, man. Stop.
So I'm building a 89 frame, but it's going to be M8.
Yeah.
It's going to be the T Sport or like the club style.
Okay.
But a lot of little twists here and there. It will have the inverted front end. It will have all my weirdo parts on it. I got some ideas about the seat and stuff. So nothing too crazy out of the realm for us chopper wise on the frame, but there's a lot of framework just to get the motor in there.
Right.
Which is going to be my big learning curve on this
Yeah.
whole
So
deal.
you decided you're doing all the fab work for the motor install, right?
Yeah, I'm going to try to do as much as I can possible. The person I lean on a lot is a dude named Andy. He has Howland Custom Cycles right by my house, and he's my ace in the hole. You know, like he's the one I always lean on as far as motor. I did my motor in mine, but I want him to like watch over.
Yeah, every motor of every bike you've ever built has never disappointed. It's always been fucking it's insane, dude.
Don't jinx me.
Right.
I was talking to who was I talking to the other day? Oh, Rob. And I'm so nervous because I'm not comfortable with motors. It's not like machining apart. I'm comfortable. I can talk to you on a program or whatever. When it comes to motors, I read the instructions like 18 times and then do it and then undo it and redo it because I'm not sure if I did something right.
Yeah.
So that's how this is going to be.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm leaning on Cory for it. I even went by his house and looked at the frame and all that stuff and where to cut and how to cut. So, but it will be a carbureted M8. So that's going to be my big hurdle. I am still haven't took it off the list.
I've tried to discourage him from it, but
I'm going to try to do 2 carburetors on mine. That's going to be the tuning nightmare.
So what does that imply? One off manifold.
One off
2 carbs.
On each side, like
I want one.
y'all.
I want.
Fuck y'all. Going on the highway.
And then pull over. I gotta get gas.
So have a fucking. You're gonna have a Chris Hopper fucking 100-gallon gas tank in the back of you, so you can make fucking 100-mile trip. So
I that's the only part that is up in the air. If I can make it work, I can make it work. If I can't, I'm just going to do a single carburetor.
What do you if you're gonna carburet an M8? Do you start like a Mikuni 45 or
The
something?
biggest
like
one's a 48 millimeter, I believe. And that's the biggest Mikuni you can get.
I'm wondering if like even on a 103 twin cam, do I need to start at a 45 Mikuni, or do you start with a 42?
Why are you carbureting yours?
Because my tank's gonna be in the air, and I don't want a fuel pump hanging out visible.
Okay.
It's just gonna look weird.
That's a valid reason.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like you can put the bong the way that like Frank sent me that tank and he gave me all the shit. So the bung can go wherever it needs to go,
Right.
to have a clean fuel line look and not like this fucking line right in the, I mean, my fucking tank and top of the motor is going to be different. There's going to be a lot of exposure there.
Yeah.
So you
a
want
lot
to
of
be
negative
clean.
space, the classic chopper lines.
So you have to be more mindful to like the places where you don't normally see.
Yeah.
So
So to put that question back on you, what's your motivation for wanting to go carb, other than just wanting to break new ground with the
'Cause
dual carb?
The main reason I don't want any hand controls,
That's right.
no wiring, no ECM, no BCM,
Yeah.
no
Chopper style.
chopper style. It's kind of like I did my
chopper
last
style.
FXR. It was very the keys, ignition on, no blinkers, no nothing. Headlight, taillight. That's it. I like the simple, clean look. So that's the reason I'm going that route. But the 2 carburetors, it's going to be tough. I'm not going to not try it.
were you
because I
thinking
don't
about
know.
making something billet wise for intake, or is that something you'd probably lean a different direction?
Probably
Or would you make something out of like stainless, like
no, and like weld it all up.
Yeah.
So I would make it and have it 3D printed
okay?
out of metal. Probably it'll be pricey, but yeah. Just because the flow and all that without a 5-axis and to get in there, and that's another thing. Even positioning, right? Because your intakes are at an angle. It's wanting to feed off that right side. Will it work to feed over here? Or will it choke one and each other out?
I'm genuinely like interested to see what that one-off out of the box thing that you bring to the table, similar how you did your fairing setup, which to be fair, like the bagger, you had an equal amount of like ingenuity to put the fairing out there, but also like the tail section
Subframe.
Crazy.
setup, right?
Yeah.
So I'm equally interested to see how you like where you apply your skills essentially. You know what I'm saying?
So struts, swing arm, all that. Of course, the wheels I'll make. The risers will be weird. They won't be bolted to the tree at all. They won't even touch the trees at all.
Whoa.
They'll mount off the inverted forks and come up through the trees. It's going to be. I have a lot of ideas, so we'll see.
Sounds
See,
gay.
the thing.
I can't wait to ask me to make
So
something.
fucking
Oh my
lame,
god.
dude.
That's the thing. That's the thing that makes me genuinely nervous for you on your behalf.
The
is
carburetors?
Well, yeah, because you've got so much or so many ideas for all these cool things you just mentioned. You know, like similar like how you pulled off on your bagger, but
The time schedule.
yeah, like focus on flexing on in those ways rather than this trick carb setup.
that's
That's
the
a
only-
dice roll.
Right.
It's a dice roll.
It is.
you
And that's
know?
the only one that's like on the table, like, do I pull it or not? I already have the ignition for the carburetor
Yeah.
to run a carburetor. So, I mean, that's not off the table. I'm going to run a carburetor no matter what.
For sure, but this
dual
dual setup
carburetor-
makes me nervous for you.
Yeah.
3 months from now, I'm probably like, fuck, that's the first thing
Yeah.
that's going. So,
Yeah.
but I would like to try it.
Yeah, generally, I think that you're going to figure out a way to really. I mean, you're innovative in the sense where you're going to bring something to the table that's going to be unique to FXRs. Whether it's something that you would put in like the catalog is a different thing, similar to your bagger.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think that's also what creates, again, on this list of builders, it creates something different that you're going to bring to the table versus him, versus a Rennie, versus a Brian. Many
Every-
Brians.
there's gonna be
we have
10
too many Brians and too many Justins in this fucking list, to be honest with you.
Right.
So, anyway, but no, that's the thing. It's like it's different, you know. And I mean, if we were all going to build the same type of bike, like how fun would that be to look at?
No.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's becoming like the bagger scene, too. They're all.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, which
maybe
risers
that's what I'm
did
saying.
you get? You
That's
know?
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like I love it. Trust me, I will not exist in this world of motorcycles without a road glide. It's
Right.
not going to happen, right? But custom motorcycles on this level, this is tickling a part of my soul that I haven't fucked with in a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in it. I'm stoked about it. And I'm hoping that it really lights the fire to want to do more of it. Right now, it's like, one time I did a frame off build. You know what I mean? But
I'm telling you, 8 years of content off this.
maybe. But I'm hoping it kind of creates the opportunity or creates the mindset.
Please
of,
say what you have to say. He's dying.
I'm just laughing at all the performance bagger guys that have befriended y'all, looked up to y'all the last few years, that just listened to the last 60 seconds and went, well, guess I'll just go fuck myself.
Unfollow.
they got parts in queue like Justin's. He hasn't made it yet and shit like that.
And it's not saying we like completely eliminate everything. There's nothing like getting on a road glide and riding cross country.
Oh,
no matter
yeah.
what. So it's just two different worlds.
I'm curious though, stylistically, do you have a vision or a stance in mind, or is it just muscular?
That
or
T-Sport tall,
Okay.
very rideable. T-bars, seat,
all you
my
got.
style.
That's all
yeah,
You saw the wing sport, and you're
I
just
saw the
trying to
wing
kind of
sport.
jump.
Yeah.
It's okay.
saw his last fucking FXR. And this was it made.
What? So yeah.
okay.
So nothing on my stance wise is out of the norm.
Any sheet metal plans out of the
Just
factory
smooth
stuff?
rear fender. I am wanting to use the ugly FXR front fender with the struts.
yeah.
But I'm going to change
Oh,
the struts
shit,
up
yeah.
myself. But I want that fender.
on an inverted front end.
Yeah. I think it'd
So
be
that
different.
the big long wrapped,
The big
like
wrapped fender
RT fairing or
with
RP
the
fairing or
ugly-
RP fairing.
With the chrome.
Yeah, with the
struts.
riveted on.
Riveted strut.
Yeah. So I want to do that, but do my own struts to the
Okay.
inverted front end.
Dang.
It
Well,
will
if anybody
have,
can do it, it's you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It will have like a T-Sport style fairing on it,
Yeah.
but I really want to set it up where it doesn't have to have it on there. You know
Like
what I mean?
like you pull it on and off.
I would like to pull it on and off, but I really want one because I really want to ride this bike,
Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
fairing's huge.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna get into yours. I was thinking about fairing wise on mine. I have 3 options, right? So first option is old, like a lowrider S.
So we're back on your bike.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, I want to talk about the fairing thing because it's
Okay.
important, I think, right? No? I guess
is
I'll go
important.
fuck my. So what I really want to do, I'm going to reach out to Tommy and see if he can make it happen. But I want to do a live wire headlight and fairing on this.
Yeah, we talked about that.
I like
So
that.
Yeah.
it's
A
like
little bitty fairing around it, right?
it's a little fairing. It's no more than a fucking like a lowrider S fairing. It's not like really going to block much, but it'll hide things, right?
Yeah.
Either that, worst case scenario, there's a part of me that thinks like a Ness bullet fairing could fix. I need a fairing. I can't just do open headlight up there. You know what I mean?
You have to have something a little wider than your tank, I think.
Yeah, so the tank should be pretty
Narrowed?
narrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be a narrow bike, 100%.
Yeah.
Because I thought about doing like how you had did the whole bagger back end and running a wider back tire and stuff. I looked at all that and like, well, we're already here. I have the stuff to do it and do a bagger swing arm, make it all happen. But I was like, that bulks it up in the back a little bit.
does.
And how does that?
I mean, they did the whole billet air was
Billet
that way.
air.
It was like you know,
billet, yeah,
like
yeah.
a fucking triangle,
Big butt.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm. Henzo was talking about he's having. I think Jacob's actually building him a super narrow front end for his, and so
Yeah.
sticking with the 39 mil front end and being narrow is kind of like sexy to me right now,
Yeah.
It is.
if you will. So
I like the super narrow too. Even on my last FXR, it was an inverted, but it was narrow, like so much I had to relieve the rim from my calipers. It was tight.
yeah. So anyway,
like
I'm
that
sorry.
look.
Well, the
But yeah.
39 millimeter is a universally known front end. There's
Yeah.
plenty of aftermarket parts for it. Whether you want to go gold valve or you want to put cartridges in it, 39 millimeter has a ton of options for dialing in the suspension to perform the way you want it.
I always go like sport bike inverted because of the cost, and
Yeah.
really the performance is. I mean, it's there.
It's there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not spending $10,000 on a front end. I can't do it.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
It makes sense.
Same
You can
here.
make all the stuff to make it work anyway. So
Yeah,
it
and I
lends
have them.
itself.
You know,
Yeah.
I have several of those front ends. So
Can't beat it. You get a Gixxer front end, it's fucking full. Hell, even Olin's on some of them, right? That show is pretty common,
Show,
but you
yeah.
got like Nissan. I don't know if Nissan is. That's a brake one.
braids, but the Olins is normally like high.
Yeah.
It's hard to come across those. But
Some
yeah,
R1 stuff. It's usually Olin's or
The
something like
high-end
that.
What do you like to run for your guts on your front ends? It's all the factory
I run-
GSXR. or-
and I stretch the out external 2 inches and internal, and move everything up 2 inches, and then just run the oil right. And
How do you
set
do
the,
that? How do you stretch?
Well, I make adapters that screw in.
Okay.
So
okay.
I unscrew the guts, and
Yeah.
then I make the adapter that screws in the tube, and then I make a extension on the inside at the bottom 2 inches as well, so it brings everything up 2 inches. And
So
then I'll do drop trees.
It's kind of what they would do in like
Yeah.
the big wheel bagger stuff. They'd have these like spacers at the very bottom that when you that main bolt that comes from the bottom of the fork, it
Yeah.
spaces
Instead of it
up.
bottoms out onto the bottom, it's
Uh-huh.
it's another spacer
Yeah.
basically there.
Yeah, because that's the big challenge, right? For most sport bike front ends, is they don't
Sure.
have the length for a Harley.
Right, and I can make that
application.
number whatever, right?
tune
But
it like
2
you want
inches
it.
has been key with the drop tree.
Well, Cory, you outdid yourself this past year in 2022 with a FXR M8 that redefined, in my opinion, the way. I think that the world hasn't caught up to that yet. Does that make sense? Like the motorcycle customized world hasn't caught up to all that, because you chose to be more modest with the paint, more traditional in that aspect, and so you have these people that walk by it and don't realize it, and then come back and are glued to it for hours because it's one of those situations. It happened at FXR show, right? I can't tell you how many people were like told me they did a double take because they walked by it, saw the paint, figured it was another RT,
Yeah.
and then noticed something completely off that wasn't in the right spot or something out. Like, that's a big ass motor in there,
Yeah.
or whatever the case may be, and then came back and then started to do it. And there's still, and like I said, Jaden and I both were in the podcast where you like spilled all the beans about it. There's still so many details that are still overlooked by even an experienced, visual custom bike guy.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're doing another one, which we've had so many conversations at Bike Night that I wish that those were on podcasts because they're so great about how, in my opinion, like the last year and a half, we've had conversations where we're trying to figure out, you know, where do you want to be in this world of custom motorcycles? Like you did your choppers and your Softails, and like I said, the Sportster was amazing. And then this thing happened, and you found like this unique path.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Well, first off, thanks for your kind words. That's I don't know if
Rare.
They get kinder. Trust me, you're not Justin.
Shoot.
So
I don't know if I'm deserving of all of that, but I appreciate it nonetheless. I mean, I've only built 2 FXRs.
Yeah.
Okay, I restored an '84 RT, and then I did
started that one. Yeah.
Yeah, then I built my Milwaukee 8 FXR. So yeah, it's been an interesting kind of discovery of where is my place in this motorcycle world, right? Because I built custom choppers since 2005, and you know, I built quite a few choppers, and you know, really enjoyed it. I was eating, sleeping, and breathing these bikes, but never really felt like I quite was where I needed to be, you know, or like I was fully accepted, I guess, in that chopper world. The chopper world has a big emphasis on
During that time as well.
yeah, it's all like vintage this, vintage that, and that's not me, man. I was the dude doing choppers with Evos and twin cams when everybody was looking to do knuckles, pans, and shovels.
Yeah.
Regardless. So somehow I find myself in this FXR world and like feel completely at home.
What do you think drove you to the FXR world?
Man, I think just getting kind of exhausted with the chopper scene and like I said,
new.
never really. Yeah, it's something new. It's time to try new ideas, try something different, and I don't know. It was just this organic thing that happened. Like, okay, dude, you've built a lot of choppers. Let's try something else, for crying out loud. And the FXR is clearly the next logical step in moving from choppers. It's it's that gateway drug, like I've called it before.
It's almost like this weird transition where you go from like essentially that Sportster with the girder front end, all the Cerakote, everything you did. Saw this thing at Giddy Up. FXR Mike is the one that pulled me out of the booth and said, "We got to look at this Sportster over here."
Yeah.
And we go look at it, we walk around it for a while, and then come to find out Marcus, our buddy here in town, is like good friends with him.
Yeah.
And then he comes to a bike night, and then it all comes together, right?
I knew the
Right.
bike way before I knew
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
So, but you have that bike, and then you decide, I'm going to restore an FXR. Like, you know, a chopper guy doesn't say, I want to restore a bike. They say, I want to customize it, right? So why did you take the path of restoring a bike prior to modifying it?
Yeah, because I'm still at heart, I'm still a purist, and when I see something that has survived for decades without being significantly altered, it's not going to happen on my watch. I'm not going to be the guy to go part out or chop up something that's sacred. You know, like in the case of my '84 RT, it's been around since '84 and it's mostly stock.
Yeah.
So, and again, it was something different. It's time to try something else. There's only so many handmade tanks and exhaust and sissy bars and blah, 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 blah. It was just, and again, I've said this on the previous podcast with you, it was a learning experience. What better way to learn a platform than to get down to every nut and bolt, every wire crimp, and learn this platform from the inside out.
Yeah.
And so the '84 was a good introduction, right? It's dipping my
Intro
toes
to FXR.
Yeah, it's dipping my
101.
toes into that FXR world, and then, like I said before, with Ben on his interview, seeing what someone else had done lit a spark in me when I saw the V2 Envisionary Motor Witch, FXR division, the first people to do an M8 FXR, and it just freaking lit a fire in me. And like, I'm getting one of those. I'm making it myself.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put my own twist on it. I'm going to do things that haven't been done before, right? I've never seen people put touring wheels, touring swing arm, and all that stuff on an FXR.
Yeah.
So I was, as far as I knew, breaking new ground and just figuring it out as I went.
The wideness of the newer, the 190, 180 tire,
180,
right?
yeah.
That hadn't been done much. You had the older like swing arms from the early 2000s, things like that, but those were smaller, skinny tires, right?
Yeah, still skinny tires.
So it was all kind of like bolting, but
He
the
did
things-
it like Harley would do it.
exactly. And you said that many times. It's like, I want to build a bike that Harley would have done if they were us, right?
That's right. If or what would be the bike if we were in charge? That we
That's right.
released
It was
a
we
new
were in
model.
charge.
If we
That's
were
right.
in charge, right? We don't need to listen to some focus group or whatever. We know what's cool. We know what jives well in our circles. This is what we would do.
This shit's cool. That shit's gay.
Have you had
Meeting
any-
adjourned.
Have you had anybody from Harley reach out, or do you feel like your phones are being tapped, your internet's being bugged, or anything like that?
No, nobody's reached out, but obviously, I did get to meet Brad Richards in Sturgis, right? So he's like VP of styling or whatever his title is. Great guy. He has his finger on the pulse and knows what's cool. He unfortunately can't always execute the things that he thinks is cool. There's internal politics.
There's a whole bunch of safety, all that crap goes in hand.
Safety is a huge concern.
Yeah.
That's why you'll never see tall risers on a stock FXR.
Yeah.
A stock Harley
That's
Davidson.
we learned that
excuse
from
me.
FXR division, that podcast.
Yeah.
They said, like, everybody always asks, why don't we have T-bars or all this, is because they can't do that from the factory.
They
Because
have
if
to be
you-
able to go.
That's right.
Yeah.
In a
People
front
have
end
to be able to-
collision, that would just be a part that would impale someone.
Let's be honest.
And-
Do you want Harley to make a perfect bike?
No, you're
No.
right. You're right.
They made an ST, and that
We'd-
is a
we'd all-
perfect starter bike. For
We'd all be
people to
riding
test.
Habusas, right?
Yeah.
It's the same deal, right? That's the reason
Yeah.
they're boring and old. They're a great bike.
You're right.
Sport bikes are great bikes. They're perfect. You can't do
Are you
shit.
talking about Indian?
Who?
So, like, Indian builds a good bike on paper,
I haven't seen it.
and
Never heard of her.
and then like, oh well, it comes with everything I need from the factory. I can just finance it.
Boring.
Like, that takes away everything about the tuner culture that we are with this shit, right? It takes away the.
What does that do for the aftermarket if it's already good to go? Like you
Yeah.
said, if it came perfect, the aftermarket just has no need to even exist at this point.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, lean into this. If all of you guys have the same bike and you don't have to do much to it, what the fuck do you talk about at bike night? What the fuck why do you go to Sturgis? Why do you do all these things? Like, custom motorcycles do more for the world than I think that they're just getting credit for. You know?
Great
Well, even
point.
then,
Great point.
you mentioned the long game earlier, and it just goes
Back
back.
that burp on there, yeah.
It just goes back to kind of what you were saying. You know, you seeing the FXRs that kind of set your mind on fire. That I can do that. I want to do that, and I want to do it my way. Well, it's the same thing without custom stuff. Exactly what you guys are talking about doing with this riding bikes from Durango. There's some guy that's going to come out, and maybe he's on a Dyna, maybe he's on a Softail. Who fucking knows? Maybe he's on a Honda, but he's going to come out. Somebody's going to see what y'all are doing and go, and the switch is just going to flip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why can't I do this or whatever? Whether it's catch the bug, but that's custom motorcycles. Like I said,
That's probably
That's
the
it.
biggest. That's a good point. That's probably the biggest thing that I think that the world doesn't understand is that how many machinists, like people that know how to that know your trade of math and SolidWorks and all this, like, that is a obtainable thing for many people.
A lot of people do.
Right? And you said this on the Ben interview. What I do is very obtainable, very, I don't know how to say
It's
it the
achievable.
right. It's achievable with hand tools, right? So these things are, there's not smoke and mirrors. It's easier. It's just that when you look at the end product, it's hard to put the end product and the beginning tools together to see how those come together, right? That's why guys like myself and maybe you were inspired by Motorcycle Mania and Biker Build Off because we saw the tools create the end result. And then TV world got so fixated on showing the drama that they realized that, like, they didn't understand how many people they inspired by just that quick glimpse of Scott Takis painting a fucking misbehaving for Billy Lane.
Yeah.
Doing a pinup thing on there inspired a guy like me to fucking say, oh shit, I've been in the paint industry. I didn't know airbrush was a thing because my high school didn't show that shit to me.
Right.
And you know what I mean? So there's like, it's one of those things that, like, once you finally realize that everything is obtainable, it's not as complicated to figure out point A to point B on all these like creative things. It becomes a matter of commitment and determination is where you're going to be in a different place of like competing with some of us, right?
You got to want it, man.
You got to want it.
Yeah, put in the hours, learn these skills that may be new to you but have been around for decades or centuries, you know. But back to your earlier points, yes, that previous M8 FXR build, the whole intention, the whole purpose was to make it look stock. So for you to say that people were walking by and doing double takes, that's high praise to me because that was my goal. I don't want to be the bike, you know, with the big flag.
imagine?
Look at me. You know, no, just subtle.
Like with that copy and paste paint job with the things, you know, the scallops and the gold, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
That's what scallops, nerd.
Whatever.
Called panels.
Fill in a square with red. Okay.
I'll give you the template later, dude.
So sorry. Let's hear about the new build.
All right. Yeah, the new build, honestly, it will have some similar elements to the last one. I feel like I've found what is, for me, a winning formula as far as stance and proportions, right? FXRs, bringing them to the modern era with wider wheels, bigger wheels, fatter fork tubes, all that stuff. So those kind of elements, you're going to see them again on this new build. I got some new ideas that I'm trying. Again, I'm trying to break new ground. I'm trying to innovate. I'm trying to do things that
Push
haven't
yourself,
been. Yeah, I want to do things that haven't been done before. So I'm gonna try to put the lowrider ST fairing, the new fairing, right? And Jaden, I did share those pictures. If I don't know if you're sharing.
I'll send them to you.
I emailed him a little bit ago. On the fast side. Sorry. So anyway, I'm trying.
I'll airdrop it to you.
if it's in the email.
Yeah.
As far as paint, because even on mine, I have an idea on color. I don't know because I change my mind 20 times when it comes to paint.
Paint's
But are you leaning towards the stock style paint on this one too?
Well, whatever. Yeah. I mean, when we say stock, I don't think it's going to be
What do you
like
think you're gonna do? Like,
for paint wise.
I gotta pee, but I want to hear.
he's got to make a.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure as far as like color scheme.
Yeah.
But I can tell you it will be understated, just like my last one. It
Do you
could
think
look
you
like
probably
something.
lean into like the concept of like the El Diablo type shit?
No.
Well, that's one thing I was going to ask. As far as the last
I'm
one,
asking that like.
You're talking about like pinstripe lines and those shapes and those
No,
sorts
you're
of
talking
things.
red.
No, I'm
No.
saying.
you're talking about paint specifically.
Well, I'm talking
Yeah.
about like obviously like your last two paint schemes have carried on the traditional FXR
Yeah.
touring scheme, right?
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
if going with a touring scheme, like you're kind of piecing together some parts that there wasn't a factory bike to do that,
I've thought
unless you
about
were talking
this.
about a police
Yeah.
bike, which honestly, you can have this idea, a
Whatever you
modern
do-
police bike
Whatever you do, don't fucking do it.
with. Hey, I'm just saying, like, I think I just cracked the case. I'm gonna walk away.
That's fine. That's fine.
Stick to your coloring book. Anyways,
So what I was saying was with the last one, with the and again, correct the terminology, but with if we were in charge of Harley and we made a bagger, so very OEM, what you can do with the OEM. Is this one? Are you saying in the same vein, or are you going more? If you wanted to go perform, everybody wants performance. Let me show you how it's done. If you wanted to go FXR,
Yeah.
but really performance baggered up. And
I-
I love the way you are, your style. That doesn't mean $2,000 in yellow lights on the front. You'll do it the right way. And that's, I guess, I almost hope, before I even hear the answer, I almost hope yes, just because I would love to see what you do, the way you do it, frugal, budget, whatever you want
Right.
to do, very cost conscious. You don't just throw money at the
That's right.
at the thing. So I would love to see you kind of do what a lot of guys do, but do it better.
Well, I mean, I think to answer your question, ultimately, it will be in the same vein of the last one. Everything I like ends up being understated and not bold, things that are just begging for your attention. Like I said, like, hey, look at me, look at my pegs. You know, I don't want that. But you know, there still are going to be, just like my last one, there are some performance-oriented things going on, right? Like I got a cartridge front end, I got Olin suspension, I got those sorts of things, but it's all done tastefully. I always am going to aim for timeless, tasteful, classy. And I've,
What motors in this? I know it's made, but what motor?
yeah. So I got a 114 this time out of a 2022 trike. Yeah, I found this on, I think it was Marketplace. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's got, you know, obviously it's low mileage. The trike wasn't even wrecked that it came out of. It was just some guy that owned a trike and decided he wanted to take out the drivetrain and go hog wild, like, you know, monster motor.
Boss hog.
He went crazy on it. So
Boss hoss.
Yeah.
yeah, so I got last one was a 107. This one's a 114.
For every idiot, a deal is made, right? A deal is to be found.
Yep, let's do it. I'll take it.
Yeah.
So yeah, still gonna do like a fueling cam. Same thing as last time. I'm still gonna use the stock wiring harness, ECM, BCM, that sort of thing.
Which is not easy. So it's a lot to stuff in a little bit of space.
It is. But I like that formula.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mentioned on Ben's interview, I do want to be known for M8 FXRs. And there's certain things that just work, and there's absolutely no reason to change them or to reinvent the wheel. Mm-hmm. But there are certain things I do want to change or try. Like I said, the fairing. I've already started fitting. Did you get those pictures? Yeah. The fairing, I've already started working on that. So basically what Harley-Davidson has tried to do to dissuade people like me from putting this new fairing on bikes is they VIN-locked certain parts. So basically what that means is if you want to order this part from Harley-Davidson, you have to provide them the VIN.
That's what they do with CVO stuff, yeah.
They did?
Yeah.
You need to provide them the VIN from a lowrider ST in order for you to even qualify to be able to order that part, which is kind of stupid because
they want to
sell
make
more parts.
Yeah.
So
Not very cash money of them at all.
You roll around with your bins on. Think you hanging out with your friends.
So I mean, which is kind of goofy because you could just walk on the showroom floor and take a picture of the VIN.
Yeah.
But shout out to Connor from Bike Night. He has the lowrider ST, and I said, Connor, text me your VIN, please. Yeah. And so, anyway, so I got the bracket, the frame mounted bracket to put a lowrider ST onto the frame, but of course I'm mounting it to an FXR now. Yeah. So basically, I've cut that bracket in half or into two pieces. The front half, which I'm keeping, and the back half that normally would go on a lowrider ST has been eliminated. And now I'm adapting and making my own bracketry to fit those four bungs that are on the FXR frame. Yeah. It's not rocket science.
So you should prototype some of those things for future.
That is my intention. Yeah. So right now what I'm playing with is getting the fitment of the fairing. In other words, when you're on the bike, I want to get it as close to the lowrider ST as possible. In other words, you don't want it too far out or too slammed in. It has to be in the same proportions.
And it's tough without, because you don't have a front end or wheels on it right now, right?
No, he has a front end on it.
No, I just have triple trees on the bike.
So, FXR Mike is the one that put me onto this concept. Is that the biggest turnoff when you see an RT fairing on other than FXRs is the gap between the RT fairing and the tank.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So have you nailed? I've
got that all nailed.
You're dialing that down. So in order to do that on certain bikes is easier than, like, say if you do it on a bagger where you have to start to cut into the fairing because of the swing of the 51 millimeter. Is that what it is?
Or whatever. The front end's so wide.
Yeah, it's
right?
wide. Yeah.
Wide,
so it runs into
everything.
So are they 49 on the baggers now?
Yeah, but it's just their center to center, right? It's just so big. It's like wide.
Well, I had the same issue on the bagger I did because I had all the brackets done, put it on the table. I'm looking, all mounted up, looking at it, and then it was too far forward and too high. So I moved it back inch and down half inch, which means all the bracketry that I made I just chunked it. So
yeah.
Well, luckily, because I work in steel and I could, like when you came over, right? I was showing you what I was doing, but So what I'm working on now is I've got the position as far as how far out or how far in the fairing needs to be, and now I'm playing with vertical height. So when you look at the bike from the side, the front of the tank is bulbous and round.
Yeah.
And
Kinda
then the
matches.
fairing,
Yeah.
Real
they fit
important.
together.
Yeah.
But the deal is with a lowrider ST, the tank that's on those modern lowriders, people may not realize this, but if you look at the side profile of those bikes, the tank is relatively horizontal at the bottom. It's more flat. FXR tends to dip down a little bit more.
I was gonna say, like, I learned this in the paint game a long time ago. Is that they always said, like, the bottom line of the tank is always parallel with the road, right? So if you're putting a logo on the side of a tank, to just understand that bottom line is always,
No matter what the tank does.
it's supposed to be parallel. Obviously, in choppers that's different,
Sure.
but like a factory Harley Davidson, Softail, lowrider, all this, even a Sportster, it's parallel.
Well, what I'm alluding to here is the fact that the lowrider ST, when you look at it from the sides, the bottom of the tank tends to be more parallel with the ground, whereas on an FXR, there's not a straight line. It's just all curvature, whereas the ST has more of a flat line, if you will. Not flat like a peanut Sportster tank or anything like that. But so that's what I'm trying to do is manipulate all that. But my intention is, so I'm not just wanting to put a lowrider ST fairing on just because no one's done it before. Yes, that's a big part of it. But part of it is it's difficult to go find OEM parts, OEM FXRT fairings from the 80s and the 90s, right?
That aren't $5,000.
Yeah, that aren't super expensive and haven't been roached out, right,
Yeah.
and just chopped up to shit. So it's hard to find the parts, and when you do find them, they're not in great condition. They've got cracks. They're brittle because they're ABS plastic. So there are practical reasons for wanting to go with a new fairing, because the new fairings, there's an outer shell that you can buy if you damage. Your inner shell gets a scratch, you buy the inner. So it's a much more modular approach, where with our OEM FXRT fairings, you're all in. You know that.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've talked about it, but yeah, that gold one on there on the wall.
So do you think that Justin is going to be going with the eBay T-Sport fairing, or he's going to put a real T-Sport fairing on his bike?
We could probably just ask him.
Yeah.
I could probably be like you and just, ask all my friends for free stuff, but I don't know. We don't know yet.
Yeah. Well,
But
it pays.
To be a mooch?
You gonna give me this for free? Oh, thank you.
This is Jace. Goes like, okay, all right. Frank has a tank, so I'm going to do a podcast with Frank. So, Frank, ever since I was 7, I always wanted this. He has a Jesse James Vogel. I always wanted a Jesse James tank.
Don't do my boy Frank like that.
Could you imagine if I had one? I know you don't have one right there. So I could just only imagine. And he's like, fuck it. Yeah, fuck it. I'll give it to you.
I'll give you a fucking tank. Shut the hell up.
Here's a swing on. Please leave.
No, it's
That's funny.
I provide so much value to people like yourself. So
Laughing at his own jokes.
That's the only one. Bless his heart.
it's like I can't.
Paint.
I don't know what to
God
do.
help
Like
you.
I just don't know what to do. I mean, I had to stop wearing your merch on my fucking podcast because I felt like you didn't understand how this works. Hats backwards, got tape over it, Anyway,
I'm confused how that same style paint job that you've been doing for 15 years is going to work on the chopper, though. Like, necessarily, who's going to paint it for you?
I don't know. Maybe I can get Gary to paint it for me. Other side customs. Maybe he'll start talking to me if I actually pay him to talk to me. Yeah.
Sorry, Corey.
Oh, it's
I
all
saw him
good.
at low. Did I tell you I saw he rode by in the lowrider night in his lowrider, and I said, "What's up?" And he's just like he finally made eye contact and realized it was me. He's like, "No, unfortunately, but no."
Sorry.
On that, that's a good point because it is kind of weird that Harley would kind of VIN lock a lot of these products because wouldn't they want to sell? Wouldn't you want to see people trying to retrofit? I mean, the problem is that that fairing is simple. Like TOL has already knocked it off. There's already a version of that fairing that you can put out there with all the infotainment center on a bagger, right? It's not a complicated design. So all they're going to do is create another aftermarket, which is what Harley keeps trying to not do.
But to be clear, the only part that's VIN locked is the fairing bracket. The other stuff,
It is?
The actual
it's
fairing
okay.
is not.
no.
Just the bracket.
Yeah, but the bracket's going to be the thing that, like, anybody can figure out the base plate for this.
I think Yaffe did.
Yeah.
I think Yaffe had, for the ST fairings, I think they just did a new, like, where it hides that bottom bracket bar.
Well, what he's
That was
no,
just
that's a different part. What he's developed is a new part that internally braces the bottom of the fairing, so
Yeah.
you don't have to run
you
that
don't
goofy
see
crossbar.
It's a very common
with-
thing on the road glides as well. Yeah.
with the blinker mounts and all that. But to your point earlier, this first one is the prototype.
Yeah.
Off of this prototype, once I get that stain,
The prototype. It's a good old fashioned, you know.
You finish.
I'm sorry.
can I go? Can I go?
Green light, Cory. Green light, please.
Sorry, man.
So I
I
am
never
gonna,
listen to Outcast here. I'm sorry. You know?
Oh man! So yeah, I'm building this first one, and once I get the positioning nailed in just where I want it, I'm gonna build a fixture off of it, draw it up, and possibly offer this for
Hell yeah.
people who maybe they'll like the way this one looks. Once
How
it's done.
complicated do you think it's going to be, other than this one bracket, for people to get that fairing mounted to a traditional FXR?
I think this bracket is the key. Once I do
It's
that,
the
and then whatever
connection.
the lower, like Jaden was talking about a moment ago, that Yappy's doing, that lower support. But again, all you have to do is build one and then fixture off of it. Build a fixture to make more.
Yeah.
Assuming there's a demand for this, we'll see how it looks. It looks good up here. I don't know if
Have
it's going
you
to look
set
good.
the outer shell in there yet?
No, it hasn't shipped yet. It's Harley's not shipping it to me for another couple of weeks or something.
Okay.
So it's kind of like not fully back ordered, but just kind of on delay.
Yeah, because you get that outer fairing on there, you'll be
That's
able to
gonna
see
tell you
like the
everything.
angle of the light and some of
Speaking
that.
which, you know what's really awkward? Okay, so for our, I'm sorry to keep pointing up there.
Yeah.
Please don't.
I mean,
Can you take it down?
Every time you point up there,
Can you take
it
it
gives
down?
him a little bitty credit.
Yeah, he's bringing it down. So
God, the paint gets worse the closer it gets.
this is so funny.
It was it's a 15-footer.
Hold on.
Jesus Christ.
This old thing? You mean this old thing?
Bless
So I'm
his-
sorry. What were you saying about? What were you saying about this? I'm gonna cut myself on this. So fucking start.
This is rich.
No, I'm so interested right now.
What I was getting at is that on those original style fairings, like that,
That one.
I can't do this seriously.
Not the original style paint job.
No. Dude, this is amazing.
Bless his heart.
The fairing bracket. That is so freaking fun. This whole thing. The fairing bracket. Once you put the fairing bracket on the frame, the part where the fairing now mounts is always vertical, not on the lowrider ST. The fairing bracket, that plane that it's created, that's waiting to accept the inner, is pointed up a little bit. It's very wild. So what I'm getting at is that
What that helps it, like to mount, you know?
It does help
Yeah.
it to mount. They even have little hooks on the inner bracket to hold your inner.
Yeah.
That's how road glides are.
Yeah, it's
the
smart.
interfering everything can like hook onto it, so you don't have to have bolts in it yet before
Yeah,
it'll stay on.
you
there.
don't need like two people, like one dude holding it,
Yeah.
another one hurry. Yeah,
It's all for assembly process. yeah.
absolutely. So what I'm getting at is that once I get this outer, then I'm going to be able to get the headlight positioning and all that dialed in. Another significant thing that I'm trying that hasn't been done before is the FXR division bags that they've developed over the past year or so, which obviously are intended, well, may not be obvious, but they're intended for a touring application.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to score a set of those bags, and so I'll be the first to run them on an FXR.
And I think the squareness of them and the squareness of that fairing is going to work.
Yeah, and for those who aren't familiar, they could look at FXR Division's Instagram page or their website, but they're very FXRP inspired. You know, like you're
Yep.
talking about the squareness.
Yeah.
They got a real cool body line, and they've got minor tweaks. They're not like a perfect rectangular box. It's like kind of angled forward. It's just
Do they
sexy.
open like front to back?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, hinges at the front.
Okay.
Hinge at the
Opens,
front,
yeah.
clasp at the rear.
Right.
Yeah, but opens front
Which
to
makes
back,
sense,
not
'cause-
side to side.
Yeah.
Yeah. You wouldn't want it to catch the wind and
Right,
blow
exactly.
Open, right.
And it's better than
beautifully
having the
made.
ones where they hinge inside out with, and then you see that hinge all the way down the
The
side.
piano hinge and on the side. Yeah, that's crazy. So those are the new things I'm trying effectively. There's
We
gonna
should
be-
definitely talk about Jay so he could be interested in this
I'm
conversation.
sorry. I don't know. 100% not that.
Dude, that was so rich.
I'm
That's
just-
that's a podcast history moment.
I'm getting
right there.
inundated by more than one person about like drama somehow. Not
What, on your phone?
not included in like this what we're talking about in this thing, but you know when like a scene gets to a point where people in this, there's one person that's been texting me, this isn't about you, my Colorado homie, sorry. Everybody keeps pointing out people I talk to and giving me this like backstory of why they're a piece of shit. Like everybody trying to discredit somebody else, right? But yet the person that is trying to discredit them has done nothing. They're just a local, right? They're not at Camp Outs, they're not at Sturgis, not here. And so when I come to their town and do a podcast with them, with this other brand who is a piece of shit on their terms, they're telling me this. You know, so I'm sorry to hijack this, but it's like
This
the
is stuff
fourth-
unfolding right now.
Yeah, but this is the fifth time in today that I've gotten messages from people that are like, that guy's a piece of shit, or they're looking at old podcasts and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with people? Like,
I don't know.
you know what I mean?
It sucks to be them because we're
Like,
talking about positive things right here. and
That's what I'm
this is
saying.
they're
Like,
focused on.
It's like,
Grow
why,
up.
if they are a piece of shit, then like, you know, why are you telling me through a message and not telling me at an event? You know, hey man, that guy don't, he's not about this lifestyle. I am. Well, I think you are because you're here, not online, spreading more drama, if you will. You know, I'll show you guys afterwards.
Okay,
It's
that's
fucking
fine.
annoying.
Sorry
to
about that. Sorry
hijack
you're going
this.
through that, man. But anyway, that's my
I shouldn't be
build.
checking my phone right now. That's where I fucked up.
Yeah.
But it's one of those situations where
I
the
get
phone
it.
keeps going off.
Could
I
you
get
take
it.
your phone off that book, though, please? Thank you. Anyways, Cory.
I think I'm done. That's my build. Another M8 FXR. Boring.
I guess you can fuck yourself. No, it's I think
I'm excited for that one.
yeah.
Thank you.
No idea on paint.
No, I mean honestly, I think in looking at the custom ST fairings that have been painted in the past year or two, however long they've been out, I find things to nitpick with every pinstripe line that's been done. Even like El Diablo and all that, I'm not a fan
Yeah, El
of all those
Diablo's-
lines.
There was one that was done that was red and white that I liked, where it was kind of an outline, but it didn't flow into the tank thing. It was like there was a really good paint job
Yeah.
done. I think that it might have been Schultz that did it. That it was a badass paint job, but it wasn't necessarily anything on the lines of like.
I think the way those air ducts bulge out on the side, there's it's very angular. I think somebody like you could figure out a
gotta
way in
play
a
off of it.
heartbeat to
Yeah.
play off of it,
Yeah.
though. But
Yeah.
it presents a challenge for flow because I like the classic lines of.
But the next
You
step
know?
is from there to the tank. That's the hard part.
Yeah. If you're trying to carry the pinstripe line
It's real
across the
rigid,
tank.
not kind of square rigid, and then you got a bubble tank.
Yeah,
Well, I guess
that's
on
right.
yours you have, you have the. I think you might even say it earlier. You have the harder lines of the fairing, and then the harder lines of the bags. But then you got this very smooth round tank,
You know what you need? That Justin tank from that, or
Yeah.
that tank that did,
like a Justin style, a Torch Industry style, like.
Oh yeah, sides,
which would play
side.
perfect
Oh, it
with you.
would, It would.
because nobody recognizes it. Everybody's like, oh, it's just a paint job. Well,
You're
no, there's a
right.
lot of work in that tank.
But you make this point. But look at your bike, for example. Look at a modern Road Glide. The tank is all bulbous with no hard lines, but yet the Road Glide fairing has sharper lines on it, and
Right.
your bags are more angular. So I see both
Well,
sides of the coin here. you know.
So say for instance the paint job I'm working on right now, like a mindset or maybe the philosophy behind it is that most people would look at a gas tank as a focal point on a bike, and it's not. If you have a fairing, your tank is just
Secondary?
It's a side cover, honestly.
Okay.
And if you try to make your tank the focal point, then it's going to take away from the thing that's already a focal point because of its size. So the tank is always just something that your fairing flows into, and your bags, if you're a Road Glide or something like that, your bags are always something that flow into your side covers. So it's this, right? If you try to make your speed, Screaming Speed and Fab side covers the focal point into your bags, it doesn't work that well because it's such a smaller thing that's such a bigger space, right? Tank is always tucked within the confines of behind the fairing, and then your fairing flows. And if you don't have the right fucking swag on the side of a road glide fairing, now on a street glide it changes because your tank is more exposed. You see it all the way to the bolt, right? So your tank becomes a focal point. So there's philosophy behind like design and flow, and I'll never get fucking credit for it. So that's fucking
Not for me.
Yeah, for sure. No, but no, that's the thing. It's like you want to find a way to design. Design is about trying to take someone's attention and draw it to something. So
Agreed.
Photography, Fibonacci sequence. That's a hard thing to say. You know what that is?
No.
So it's the golden ratio. It's the golden spiral, right? A lot of things in this world visually have a draw to it, a almost spiral-like
Draws you
concept.
into the center.
Exactly. A picture, art, the natural symmetry and a lot of things still has the Fibonacci sequence into it. And so when you think about that applied to a motorcycle, you want to figure out what do you want to highlight on your bike and how can your paint and design take their attention and take them on a roller coaster ride to something that you want them to notice. Right? Or away from something you don't want them to notice. So there's a lot more to it than just like panels,
Right.
scallops, things like that. And so that's kind of where when you're talking about something big like a road glide, there's a lot of real estate there. So you have to be more mindful of this as opposed to like on a Dyna FXR, you're less connected parts. T-Sport. My T-Sport that I did this year, the purple one, I had this fairing that had this connection to the tank, but because I was running bags, there was no connection to the back of the bike to the rest because I assumed the bags, the leather pros were going to be on there, right? But when I didn't run leather pros, it fucked me up. I was like, this is a horrible paint job, right? Because there was no connection from the rear to the front.
Right.
So there's a lot to do with paint, and there's a reason why I think you get a guy like Jeremy Poland, said big name painter in the game, like they might not be thinking about the Fibonacci sequence, but they'll understand the idea of how they want their graphics to draw attention and not overpower things. And that's color balance. There's a lot to paint. If paint could get the same love that fabrication got, I think that we'd.
Whoa!
It does. No, it does not.
It does.
Nobody takes your shit and fucking reshapes it.
But it doesn't. Paint gets more credit.
It's just because we're the most expensive out the rip.
It has nothing to do with money.
Shit.
It does.
Mortal Kombat.
Finish him.
Yeah, because I get so much shit for painting solid color all the time. But I did it for a reason, to look past the paint.
To not sell the bike, right. Still for sale. Discount. You can pay a little more and get a paint job.
Oh, my word.
No, paint, well, put it like this. I've said this since the beginning of this podcast, is that there are, to quote my main man Thanos.
Who?
Thanos. There are
Is that
the infinity rings. What do they call
some
them?
kind of dorky reference about superheroes?
It's a Marvel villain.
It's a Marvel villain.
But kind of the most badass Marvel villain.
This is a cartoon?
No, it's not a cartoon.
A video game?
Thanos
Nintendo?
needed the Infinity Stones to create the fucking.
This is so dark.
Is it tattooed on your hand?
Maybe. Did I know? Okay. There are aspects that come to a good build. When you think about a badass build, like we can go down the list of your Aaron Greenspan. What was
Aaron Green?
Aaron Green
Was Paramount.
Paramount. You can go with Matt Hotch. You can go with all these people, and then you can go to the opposite end with like Rick Fairless with the wild shit, right? Of the other end of paint, right? But ultimately, what makes a bike build is the convergence of all these different flavors. I think Indy and Larry said it best, right? The motorcycle is one of the only things that incorporates every element of earth into it as art, right? You have metal, you have leather, you have chemicals of paint,
Machining.
you have machining, you have combustion, you have all these things. They come together and they make this one amazing thing.
Yeah.
Right. So when you have a master of everything coming together and working together, you get bikes that will transcend generations, right? That we'll still talk about. We'll talk about misbehaving. We'll talk about, for me, sometimes it's watching the bike that, even though it's got played out so much afterwards, but the Kid Rock bike on Motorcycle Mania 2, I believe, I was in love with that orange bike with the real fire on it, and just
Generally.
yeah, I fucking love that thing. So there's certain things that transcend and become that. And a good, well-rounded bike build, not saying the only way, not saying this is the only fucking formula, but how do you bring all these elements together to make it good? When you look at Indian Larry bike, right? Think about it. The most wild, like, fabrication you can think of, twisting metal, turning it in all this shit, still wild paint. Still, you still got fucking...
This much.
It is, but that's the point. It's still
Right.
impactful.
I have a billboard for paint.
You got to figure it out.
I did.
That's the hardest part.
I did great.
Figure it out. He figured it out.
You need to figure it out.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. You can.
You do you, baby.
Yeah. But no, that is a build. Like, and maybe this is more for the performance guys who think that, like, they can just buy parts and leave their bike black. It just doesn't appeal to everybody. Like, paint, whether it's solid or whether it's custom, it sets the tone for the vibe of your build. When you walk up to this bike, you don't know it's M8. You know it's a blue fucking rendition of a FXR RD style paint job.
Yep.
Right? So it needs to be that. Like, unfortunately, because
That's what he did.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's great. And the whole plan was amazing, right? And what I did some weird color, but look past the weird color into the build.
What you, like, all bullshit aside, like, the bike that you built was perfect. It truly was. You built a bike that showcased your talents with, like, fabrication within the machining world, right?
But if I did the copy paste one on there,
Don't point at that. Don't fucking do that. Why? After I just complimented your bitch ass.
So, what would be the happy medium? Like, in your mind,
It's the intention.
if you had Justin's
The happy
bike,
medium
that's
is the
question I was
intention.
about to ask. If you had my bike right now, what would you do to it?
Well, let me jump here right quick. So the intention of why you build your bike should always be the purpose of what it is, and you're making one piece of art, not a piece of art that needs to change to change intentions, right? If your intentions is to build a bike and sell it, or maybe the idea is to build this massive bike and get attention and sell it, they're still going to end. You might not go full custom paint to be appealing to the masses.
I didn't build mine to sell it.
yeah,
Exact. Fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's the point. But like I said, you're in that point where you have all this invested. It's got attention. So do you sell it, or do you?
It's hard to sell. The reason
Do you paint it and then sell it, or what do you do at some point?
would I sell it? Sure, the money's great. I don't want to sell it. I'm not trying to sell it, but and I didn't build it to sell it, right? So I built it for me.
Yeah,
and
and I think it did a lot of great for you and your brand this last year.
my
Yeah.
God.
You know?
And people give me shit too, like, oh, you don't sell none of these parts. But I was just, it's
You're
like
kind
you
of showing
found,
people you know how to do it. Yeah.
showing your capability.
Fuck them. You don't sell any of these parts. Get the fuck out of
Yeah.
here. That's entitlement 101. Fuck you. So I make this shit. I make shit you can buy.
Yeah.
But because I want to make some one-off shit for myself, now I got to mass produce it for your dumbass so you can put it on your dumbass looking bike. Like, get the fuck out of here.
I do get the question a lot with the fairing
You gotta
mount.
block those people, not sell them anything. Okay, guess what? Now you're cut off. You want whack arnold's? You don't get no whack arnold's. You get no risers. You get no fucking pegs. Nothing. Fuck yourself.
You want pegs? You gotta go through me.
Yeah.
No, it's
Like just like the front fairing mount, there's 17 pieces that go together
Yeah.
on that thing. And everyone's like, yeah, it's for. I would build that for you, but it's gonna be buy 17 risers. What's that gonna cost you? It's the same concept.
Well, it's the intent. I guess it's the intentionality on a building a bike. I think that we all build if we're thinking about a bike, like I said, if I'm thinking about building a bike that is personal to me that I don't plan to sell, I think maybe I'll tap into something that I would never do for the public, which could be that revelation of a new flavor, because I'm doing something that I don't think the world wants that I want. And most of the time we create within the parameters of what we think the public wants to see, right? So you want to push that line and tote it, but you don't want to go so far above it that you wasted all your time and money in doing something that's not going to pay any dividends of anything.
Every time you do one of your baggers or bikes, you always have that in mind of you're trying to sell it, right?
I want it to be appealing because I want it to, yes, in a way, yes, I would like to sell it in case I need to, but I also would like to, I don't paint that many bikes, 5 a year tops.
I'm talking about your own.
Yeah,
personal.
so I'm trying to set a standard of what I want to offer to people.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is my style. I have 5 slots, if you will, for this year, and I want to sell my style. Like, if there's anything I've learned out of watching the predecessors in this industry, like, especially the ones that have high labor in something, like paint is high labor thing. It's, not saying building a bike is not, but we're talking about the difference. Like, I'm painting a bike. I could have 100 hours in a paint job. You can design a part, and you'll have 100 hours in the part design, but the making and reproduction of that part is different. And then I can't reproduce this paint job.
Right.
Good point.
So
Really good
that's a different situation. So I have to create something that is ultra valuable as a one-off that's never going to be recreated again. So kind of like a lot of the parts of your bike, like I want to make something that's high value for my time,
Right.
so that I can continue to play motorcycles.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Not to change the subject completely,
Yeah.
but we do need to bring up before it's too late.
Yeah.
The submitted builder.
Oh shit, yeah. I think I thought that this one shit email I got was about a submitted builder, but it turned into like a fuck you and not fuck me, but fuck this other guy that you did a podcast with one time.
So, we're going to go through your email, right? You said that's okay? Because mine's like loaded with other stuff.
Yeah, if they want to go through my email,
That's good. So, can you say that?
the fastlifegarage@gmail.com. It's real simple, and I can curate it and put whatever people send us for their build ideas.
All right. So, let's make that clear. Submitted builder, you submit your build. You must have an FXR frame. That's it. Other than that, the style options is up to you. You must start it now. It can't be a previous build that's done.
Yeah.
Not a company.
Yeah.
Right? You're average Joe type dude. Email pictures, something about you, something about the bike build.
Explain what you're trying to do. You're writing a paper here. Like,
Right.
tell essentially us
Right.
what you're trying to do and your intentions, also with some background as to also how you can commit to it. Like, if you tell me you're out of Maine and that you work at Costco and
It's expensive.
you can't, you don't even know if you can get the time off to do this thing, like, that's going to be a hard thing.
The build's
So
expensive.
it
To
might
get here is
be-
expensive.
I'm willing for this to be up for debate. It could be a guy who has a shop, who has these things that.
I think that's. I want the normal.
I do want the garage guy.
Yeah.
I do want it too. But if it's Frank from the speed dealer with the fucking machine shop, I get it. Like, that's different, right?
Yeah.
But if
And
it's
now you're judging their business, right?
yeah, but if it's a guy
You know what I mean?
that has a fucking shop in fucking Tupelo, we were just
Tupelo, Mississippi.
Tupelo, Mississippi. Yeah. It's one of the
Tupelo.
stops of our trips this year we were looking at. If you're out of there and you got a little small bike shop, I feel like that should be okay. As long, you know what I mean? It's like one of those situations. Like, you don't necessarily want a guy that has like 20 CNC machines that can make whatever and has a full staff. But, I don't know. This is up for debate, right?
Right. You're figuring it out as you go.
So
Because what if nobody?
nobody submits one.
Yeah.
If nobody submits one, we leave at 9.
Okay. Fuck them.
Well, for the people who would consider this, I think you'd have to establish a date, some kind of deadline, right? Like, we'd want to make a selection by
It
February.
would be we. It's all 9 of us.
it's all of us.
select
We're
the
gonna
10,
we're gonna decide who out of said emailed people, and we're gonna have to make a post about this too as well, because
Yeah,
my
'cause-
podcast isn't that big.
Okay.
We all know.
I don't want to do this with Justin. But no, so yeah, we'll make a post. We'll put it out there. But I do hope that we can find somebody that is truly passionate about building an FXR that is unique. Maybe they have an idea. Maybe they need this as a challenge. And what we're offering is the exposure that we're all going to get, plus the opportunity to have your hotels taken care of, a spot at Born Free, whatever that looks like. Yeah. And it might not be much now, but if this thing grows, it could be more. You know what I mean? We've had Tommy busted his ass as soon as he found out about this thing to connect us with Durango Harley, with Trevor up there, to help facilitate this situation, and his dealership jumped on board. We're still open to other sponsors coming in and helping us facilitate more things.
I think Tommy's also working on Amarillo as well.
Yeah.
He's actually been great this whole deal. So, yeah, he did make Durango happen.
Exactly. So, like I said, this is an opportunity that if somebody else is trying to build a bike, you're going to get kind of put into the limelight. I hate saying that, but it's weird.
Yeah,
Spotlight.
don't undersell that either. If you're some guy that nobody really knows, you're coming correct with your stuff. This is essentially, to put it in, like make an analogy of comedians. This is all of a sudden you could get on tour with Dave Chappelle and Joe Rogan, and you know what I mean, all the big guys. Where all of a sudden, like you're in houses and names and inboxes that you would have never otherwise been in, just for being rad. Because that's what it's going to come down to, is being rad. It's grassroots, as we said. It's be rad, but this could be the break that you need. You know what I mean?
That's a good way to put it.
I hate to say it, but
Your break.
the exposure that it's just
You build a bad
0
bike,
to 100.
fucking somebody sees you, Paul sees you, like, oh shit, now you got the whole career, goes from there. Everything builds from every
like,
interaction.
I mean,
you could be the guy at Costco, and you could turn this into like you're taking like 10 years of vacation and falling into one, and you built a badass bike. I'm down for that.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry for that earlier comment. It wasn't a dig. It's just like what we need is an idea to build a bike, a good story, and a commitment. And if you can't commit, that's where
the biggest one.
that's where we're.
Yeah.
We all have massively complicated like lives that we're dealing with, and massive like other obligations, and we're committing to do this as well. Every name on this list is like, this wasn't like, everybody's thinking about what things we need to do business wise, what can we do family wise, we can get away with, whatever, and then you throw this in the mix, and it's like,
It's stressed me the fuck out.
it's stress, dude.
It's not a walk in the park. I don't have a crew of people running my business.
Same.
From ordering material to shipping it out, it's me, and then adding a bike build, and then a wife and 2 kids, and then also still go to these other events.
Yeah,
So it's a lot.
it's a pain in the ass,
Yeah.
man. So not to like add to that, but it is complicated. But we want to make something, and honestly, man, like me personally, like I don't look at this like I want to see this turn into whatever the fuck it's going to be in 10 years. One of the biggest, I guess maybe to tie this in, like Scott from Simpson, there's a picture of him on my wall back there, and that picture of us was taken the day I did the first podcast we released at Simpson Motorcycle Helmets, right? It's me and my brother and Scott. And when I became friends with Scott at Simpson, he always talked to me about like events. He's like, man, you do realize that like every event at one point was 10 people in a fucking parking lot, right? It all started with this. It wasn't like Sturgis just turned into like this big event overnight.
Right.
It was
Hill climbs.
like, unfortunately, like if there could be a movie or documentary about the motherfuckers that created Sturgis for us, I'll fucking pay for that Kickstarter.
There is.
There is?
Yeah.
What is it?
I don't know the name, but I've watched the whole history of Sturgis.
I'll watch it 100%. If
Started with hill climbing and all that stuff back in the day.
Yeah. So I'm 100% down to watch that shit. But when you think about these things, like all these events, like I think we're all kind of putting our name in the hat, trying to create something that could last and have staying power. But look at Rot Rally in Texas, right? It had a 25, 30-year run before it just kind of it
Went
took
the wrong direction.
It took past it that took it away from motorcycles, right?
It went to nudist colony.
Exactly. Because they chase money over authenticity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you have a lot of us that are here that, we're all the people that have exposed our whole lives in social media. We grew up through social media of our known, like, our claim to fame is because we did stuff on social media, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So
it's our TV of the 2000s.
it is. It's our kind of like chance to fucking show, but it's like we also, like when you saw Jesse James or Billy Lane do something that you didn't agree with in 2002 or 3 on fucking Biker Build Off, you didn't get to DM them
No.
and say you fucking retard and just call me a bunch of dumb shit, right? Same thing like we're talking about this podcast. Like everybody and their moms, like I say something on the podcast, and everybody's got a fucking opinion about it right then, and they have my number, so they text me, right? But the thing is like now we're all accountable for every action that we do. Now we can't hide behind a TV, Discord, if you will, or whatever. So it's like everything that I know that I put my name on is because I want people to find the passion that I did watching these shows and being around these people in the industry growing up. And man, I don't know, man. I sounds like I'm beating a dead horse right now, but it's like I just want to fucking hopefully inspire the next generation to carry this on and have the same energy of like community on top of self. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, pros and cons of being in the next generation up, where you get the pros because instead of the biker build up, instead of the shows that they had the drama and it was produced, and you had this time. Your show, your content, what you provide to the world can be 24/7. It's what you can be.
Yeah.
But we live in a more sensitive world, so you kind of have to curtail what it is. But it's all weighing you get to cut out the bullshit. You don't need a producer, but it's all on you. It's all on you to figure it out, to figure out how you want the shot, to do it the right way. You know what I mean? And on top of that, don't fuck around and say the wrong word because somebody may get tricked. So it's all, you know what I mean? It's pros and cons of back then nobody could reach out and say something, but at the same time, think of the lack of creative influence that a Billy Lane had then. You know what I mean? And so many of those shops where they signed, whether you want to say signed with the devil or whatever, they signed this deal, but then Discovery Channel came in, and we've heard it. We've heard the stories where they said, okay, that was great, but we're going to redo it. This time we want you to throw a wrench at the wall and say, motherfucker, we can beep it out. Like, you don't have to deal with that, but you also have to find a way on your own to make it interesting if you don't have that production crew coming in. And so it's all, and man, I'd take it the way it is now. I mean, that's almost
100%.
That almost falls back to the Joe Rogan interview where they were talking, the early clip where they're talking, the first podcast where he was saying, if we could do this, if we could cut out like late night talk show, this sucks. If we could do this our own way, it's like real prophetic. If you guys haven't seen it, I'll find it in whatever Instagram post it. But it's badass because it's Joe Rogan talking just before they came out. And I want to say it's like 9 months before he started the Joe Rogan experience. And he says, if we could just do this and do it our way, who's stopping us? This is our money to make.
Yeah.
Like, let's cut out the fuck. These people they're not creative, and they're telling us what to do, and we're the creative ones. Let's do it our fucking selves and cut them out.
Cut them out. Get out of here. Yeah.
And it's kind of the same way, where that would be my try to be positive spin on it.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't have the TV crews and whatever coming in, but Jesus Christ, dude, are you not in an age where you have all the control on whatever you want to put out, and you put it out however much you want to? And
now that I remember the transition from the guy that was a wrench and a gearhead and a shop guy who barely knew how to he still had a flip phone. He knew how to dial numbers, but he had no idea of using his phone for an email, right? Then you implement social media to the thing. And I remember having this conversation with the old heads that I came up with, like, oh man, start an Instagram, man. Like fucking, this is 2012. Like, you could just put your work out there and people will find you, right? And they're like, oh, fuck that. I don't want to do any of that shit. And now I'm in that boat where I'm at that point where I want the Instagram that I kind of got in 2012 and 13, And we're at this boat now where it's like we have to do all this other shit. There was a video going around recently that was fucking profound. And it talked about, it was like so do you think that the world is going to let you get 20 million people following you and they're going to give you access to all 20 million people? The Super Bowl doesn't get that many people.
It's powerful.
Right? So Instagram is going to let you accumulate 20 million followers, but they're only going to give you 2% of that as engagement.
Unless you dance like a little circus monkey with their reels and you do what they want to.
And pay them for access to the other 19 or 18 million people that follow you, right?
Right.
Or I guess it would be 16 million followers. So, yeah, that's like, it blew my mind. It's like everybody's chasing followers. Like, I need more followers. But, yeah, if you get 100,000 followers, then you might be able to get 20,000 or 2,000 or what's the 0.2%? So,
Yeah.
Well,
Whatever.
2%. So let's just say it's 2,000 people of 100,000, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
That's the algorithm, right? So that to me, like, we've been chasing this fucking scam for a long time of like, we need more followers on Instagram. We want to be more known on Instagram. We want to do this on Instagram, but you know, I don't know that it's worth it. I think it's worth it to put something on Instagram, but I think it's also worth it to be present, to go to bike nights, to go to fucking campouts, to go to Sturgis, to do all these things, to tie the two together.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is the real world that we're talking about here. This whole
We're going back to the real world is what's happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's turning into this thing where, like, trust me, I'm sitting here with X amount of followers trying to think, like, how the fuck do I convert this into something real? You know what I mean? What's the point of having 50,000+ people that watch what you do? But, you know, we're super stoked about the 1,000 people that showed up to our camp out last year, right? It's amazing. But out of a 50, or let's just say 60,000 people followers, like, that's, I don't know, like, I you know what I mean? It just, like, it doesn't resonate. It doesn't matter anymore. It's like, now it's like, I don't want to, like, chase followers to the point where I'm, like, trying to convince my wife to take her clothes off. Sorry, Ben. It wasn't a dig at Ben, but it just sounded like it. I'm sorry, man. It wasn't, you know.
I see nothing but positive out of something that you're creating here.
Did you see all the shit that took place after Ben's old lady? Like, he did a great photo shoot with Emma. He really did. It was fucking hot. But I can't look at Ben's old lady like that. You know what I mean? I don't want to look at Ben's old lady like that.
Right.
But then everybody did the whole like Jetty and Justin and Big Trouble. They all did they took their shirts off and also.
Yeah, but how did they turn that around so quickly? Did a text thread go out? Say, hey,
it's
hurry
so
up.
good.
But Justin was in there.
Yeah.
He was in there as well.
Wait for him to get back.
Yeah.
Justin sent it to me and was like trying to get me to do it. I was literally in a podcast up in like Iowa.
Oh my word.
When it was all taking place, and I was like, what the fuck? But and it's not a dig on them. Like, Ben's an amazing photographer and he's an amazing videographer, and Emma's the shit as well. She's awesome. It was like more of a, you like, to be in our world, you have to have thick skin and you got to be ready for everything you do to be. I mean, you guys are fucking digging on me and my pride and joy up there, dude. So I can't find the pictures. I feel like they deleted them all. Now I just feel like a dumbass. Oh, here we go. Hey, did you see them scroll? Like, use them and scroll right. It's like everybody.
Bunch of assholes.
Yeah.
I don't even know where they came. I think it's.
Is it? Stairs.
Whoa, fucking Scott.
Skilo, Jetty. Justin did it best. He like has the eyes.
He does have the look.
He's got the look.
Justin, who kicked that off?
Yeah,
That
leave him alone.
the Emmyloo's pose.
Oh, I don't know.
No. No, you do know.
You were the instigator.
Really? You were the first? This is your
right
idea?
When I saw it the front, I was like, I got to reenact that. And I was like, I did it. And I was like, what if I can get some of my people to do it?
I mean, y'all turned it around like
It was funny.
immediate. It looked like
Yeah.
within hours, right?
Yeah.
of the
And it
initial
wasn't
post.
disrespectful or mean.
Yeah, and
it's just
what I
good
was saying
fun.
earlier, I was
Yeah,
not trying
It's
to be
good fun.
disrespectful.
Yeah. They're good people.
It's always great when the perpetrator can tell you if it's not disrespectful or mean.
You're not helping.
When the suspect can tell you whether or not it's a crime, that's always solid. It's like the police doing their own investigation, right? We investigate ourselves. Turns out we did nothing wrong. Nothing to see here.
I did talk to. I was nervous because I talked to both of them that night. I was like, yeah, like everything cool, right? You know, they left it up and then took it down, so I took mine down. So
If they say anything, go, I'm busting balls here.
yeah, it's all fun shit, you know.
Well, I mean, he's exploring his like abilities photographically through that and dealing with lighting. I understand it. It's and especially for us too. It's like it's not like we can just go find some other chicks outside. We're in healthy relationships and shit like that. Like, hey babe, I'm gonna go like take a bunch of pictures of nude chicks tonight. Like, you good with that?
And good for them for being solid enough
Yeah.
where they could do that and put it out there. Salute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's I'm happy for him.
You think it's on his Patreon?
Yeah, now I just need to find the link to Ben's OnlyFans.
Oh man, he can get some Patreon up if I can convince my wife to let me like just leak the photos she sends me and I get her on my Patreon. I probably we could have a different business here. Jaden to be here full time. We both show up with jewelry on, not just a little fucking sterling silver chain.
Sterling silver.
Anyway, did we actually cover this?
I think so.
I think it's pretty.
The people in the chat, do they feel like they got the questions answered?
Nobody there.
Nobody really had a ton of questions, but
Oh,
there
shit.
was a lot of positive feedback on just the whole idea of taking it to the road, the whole concept of what it's doing. Like nothing but positive
Yeah.
feedback on people excited about it and can't wait to see it.
So how are people going to be able to follow this from here on out?
So we'll do hashtags FXR tour.
Yeah.
So every time we post, we'll do hashtag FXR tour. So if you do that, then you can follow all of our things.
Right.
Follow the hashtag. Yeah.
Follow the hashtag on our 9 builders until we figure out the 10th.
Yeah. And if you want to follow everybody, you got Chris and Justin from FXR Division and Torch Industries. You have Rennie from Easy Rider Cycle.
Are they both going to ride the bike?
Maybe.
Good. Okay, just double checking. They should.
To watch both of them ride the bike would be a fucking joy of me. How does TPJs go? I think it's just TPJ.
No.
He's really he's a deep cut follow if you want to be honest, man.
No, he's good. You got Rennie with Easy Rider Cycles.
Yeah.
You got Bare Knuckle Paul at Bare Knuckle Paul. You got
TPJ Customs, all one word. I love that. No spaces, like a little bitch. He's got it all fucking one word, like a man.
FXR Bazaar.
FXR Bazaar. Nick Henzo is the one. He has a personal page. I don't know if he uses that for any motorcycle related stuff. Versus,
Yeah, I don't know if is he going to post his stuff on FXR Bazaar. He'll figure that out.
he'll figure it out. Whatever's going to be conducive to him. I mean, it would. It's up to him, but yeah, FXR Bazaar would be ideal for the exposure for the rest of us in this thing. But that's up to him if he wants to use that page for that or not.
Right, and then
You know.
Brian Clem, is that Clem's? Isn't it underscore
Clem?
speed
No,
underscore shop?
Just Clem Speed Shop.
All one word?
Yeah.
Okay.
CLEM. Clem.
Clem Speed. I think I see the S from Speed, and I always say Clem's.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then Clem Speed Shop is the actual name.
What's like
so.
Clem's like that's his like apostrophe.
Yeah, Clem Speed Shop in Metro Detroit,
Yeah.
Premier V-Twin Performance Shop. Check them out on there. There's there's not just Clem, but his whole crew up there are fucking nothing but solid dudes up
Yeah.
there. Who else we got on here? Henzo, Clem, Rennie, Brian TPJ, Paul,
Bare Knuckle Performance.
Oh, it's Bare Knuckle Performance.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you got Cory, Main Drive Cycles.
That's a Main Drive Cycle, singular, one word. Main
Okay.
Drive Cycle.
he only does one bike at a time.
That's it. That's it.
And then me, my machinist, And then, of course,
Yeah, Daddy.
Jaden.
I don't have social media.
I'm taking a break on social media.
Hey, I did too. It's
Yeah.
actually a fucking help.
Yeah.
And then, but the biggest thanks to Tommy at Cowboy Harley and
Yeah.
Trevor Bird at Durango Harley. Those are our sponsors, and they're covering a lot of things right now too. But we're also reaching out to Amarillo, which actually Tommy is. Tommy's done a lot of lead work already, and we have a couple of sponsorships open right now. And if you want to help sponsor this whole process,
Yeah, Nick, Knives Made by Nick. We need to have a conversation, buddy.
yes,
Yeah. We got some ideas with you, and I think you're the perfect fucking creative for this. So, yeah, we'll
So
talk.
Reach out. Cool.
Everything else good?
Stoked. Yeah,
All right.
this is.
Let's go eat.
This is awesome.
Fat motherfucker. All right,
All right, boys.
let's go.
All right.
Thank
Thank
y'all.
you. Peace.